is where MAGA comes to talk. We'll be live on the air in about 12 minutes or so, and we've got so much to cover. I can't wait. I mean, the first 100 days of Trump's second non-consecutive term is going perfectly. Could not be going better. It really couldn't. I mean, this is as good as it gets, people. Not going good for the Democrats, but, you know, who cares about the Democrats? Democrats don't even care about the Democrats anymore. Right? Exactly. That was strange. Okay. That's right. The first 100 days of Trump's second term is going perfectly. The villages welcome. Welcome the villages. Welcome the villages. I'm just doing an audio check. All right. Move this a little bit. Sorry, guys. Got to move the camera here so I can fit everything here where I'm at. 1, 2, test 1, test 2. All right. Oh, yeah. What I'm going to open with is this. Well, we're going to talk about the 100 Days of Greatness. I mean, that's a given, you know. It's just. I gotta clean out my copybook. That's the one I was looking for. All right, I am all set up and we'll be live in just a few minutes. If you're new, my name's Brian. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Make sure that you subscribe, guys, all right? Let me come out just a hair. There we go. Welcome, one and all. This is very exciting. How do you think President Trump's first 100 days have gone? How would you describe his success of his first 100 days? I mean, I think he's doing spectacular. A plus, amazing, absolutely. Absolutely. Come just a hair. There we go. We'll be live in just a few minutes. One, two, testing. Putting those signs up in front of the White House yesterday, that was the best. That was so cool. It's Social Security. What's he done with Social Security, Kim? He's getting ready to eliminate taxes on Social Security. Okay. Oh man, we're going to be on the air very soon. Mike is cutting it close today. We'll be on the air in just a couple minutes.
Those of Vic Canellis Media Group, its parent, affiliates, or stations. VCMG Live is not responsible for any content, information, or opinions expressed. User bears full responsibility for their reliance on such content, information, or opinions. WSFS 1.
Yes, yes. This is a Florida orange shirt. You can't order MAGA hats on Amazon or the official Trump store and send them to Europe?
this morning. We should expect some breeze and sunshine along with a couple of thunder showers with a high of 81 degrees. And this evening,
I'm at the radio station today.
Partly cloudy low of 72 degrees. While tomorrow's going to be a partly sunny and breezy high of 82 degrees. While tomorrow evening we should expect some
We'll fly to Florida. We have MAGA hats everywhere here.
And now, a true oldies traffic check. Brought to you by the Palm Beach Kennel Club. Construction on Beeline Highway.
Okay, we're going to be live in a minute, so let me start the other feed. Welcome, everyone. My name's Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Now, I'm obviously at the radio station today. And we got so much to cover. We're going to be celebrating the first 100 days of Trump, of course, which is what I'm going to start with. If you're new, make sure you subscribe. We are going to be live in seconds.
On the air since 1977, it's the Steve Kane Show.
All right, indeed it is. I'm Brian Craig. You're listening to the Steve Kane Radio Show, Florida's longest running radio show. On the radio since 1977, celebrating 48 years on the radio. We've got a lot to cover, and of course, what I'm going to start with, we're going to praise and celebrate the first 100 days of greatness of President Trump's second term. This is just phenomenal. The first 100 days of the second term are going perfectly, and I'm incredibly excited. It's still hard to believe that he's president again after everything that he did. Now, of course, what the fake news are doing are dropping a whole bunch of fake polls that show Trump's unpopular. I'm going to go, yesterday I went through the ABC Washington Post fake poll and broke that down. Today, I'm going to go through in just a few minutes the Fox News poll. This Fox News poll is so dishonest. It's not a real poll. It's another fake poll. We'll break that down in just a few minutes. But this first 100 days, how did you like it when Trump put all those signs up of all the illegal, violent criminals that they've arrested? Oh, man, the media, they're just having freakouts. But the fake news media and the Never Trumpers, I want to remind you of something. During the campaign, when the Never Trumpers shot President Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania, do you remember where you were when they shot Trump, the Never Trumpers, in Butler? I do. I was in my living room in front of my television watching Right Side Broadcasting, which is, by the way, Right Side Broadcasting is where I will be watching the Trump Michigan 100-day rally. It's just nuts what they've done to him. They're putting out fake polls today, but last summer they were shooting him. And when President Trump was shot by the Never Trumpers in Butler, that immediately became the most proud, historic moment of any president of the United States of America. They shot him. He dove for cover. He stood up with his face covered in his blood, and he said, "Fight, fight, fight." Well, who was he talking about there? And when President Trump said, "Fight, fight, fight," he knew right then and there who shot him. These Never Trumpers. The same people that are going down, defending this criminal judge in Wisconsin, or defending a wife beater in El Salvador. Those are the people he said fight against. And if Butler had not have happened, President Trump still would have been reelected, but not by the massive margin he was. He would have won, but the massive landslide victory of winning every battleground state and flipping blue counties and liberal states like California, that happened because the Never Trumpers shot him in Butler. And President Trump, his face was covered in red blood, but that red pilled so many millions of Americans who were not MAGA, who didn't support Trump, and thought that a lot of the things that they were doing against him were just. They woke up and said, you know what? They're trying to get this guy. Lawfare's real. Obama was spying on Trump Tower. The dossier's fake. The arrests are fake. And, you know, when the Never Trumper, it shot him in Butler, it was unheard of what happened. The crowd in that open field and behind him stayed right there. When have you ever seen a shooting event where the crowd did not scatter? So why did the people stay? Why did they not run like in every other shooting event? I'll tell you why. And I said this at the time. The reason the crowd did not run and the reason the crowd in Butler, Pennsylvania stayed there after the Never Trumper shot President Trump is because they wanted to protect him. We didn't know what was coming next. We didn't know it was over. And if there would have been an assassin or a group of assassins, that crowd would have jumped on them and taken them down. Never seen an event where the people didn't run like that, a shooting event. And that's why they were there, to protect him. Now, the reason I share that, we had thousands of MAGA people in Pennsylvania who saw the Never Trumpers shoot President Trump. They're there with their families. They don't leave to be there to protect him. Those MAGA people in Butler, Pennsylvania, were willing to take a bullet for President Trump. They risked every single one of those people, those thousands of people in Butler. Not only would they all risked their lives staying there to protect President Trump when the Never Trumpers shot him in Butler. Now they want you to believe. Now, and so, you know, so think about that. And then he went on to a landslide victory of a second and non-consecutive term. The first time anyone alive has seen that happen with a president. It happened once before in the 1800s with Grover Cleveland, right? So now, what Fox News, ABC, the Washington Post, and all these low-life scumbuckets in the fake news media, what they want you to believe is that MAGA people who were willing to take a bullet for the president, risk their own lives to protect him, women, men, and children, that now all of a sudden they've all turned against Trump. That's not even credible. That's not even credible. Oh yeah, they regret their vote now. If they were willing to take a bullet for him in July, why would they turn against him now? Think about that. Does that even make sense to you? Of course it doesn't. But that's what they want you to believe. And when he said fight, 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 he meant fight, fight, fight against a lot of people. One of them, this fake news media. You know, if you go back and watch what happened in Butler, and you should, not now, after 9 o'clock. Don't do anything till after 9 a.m., all right? Just stay with me till then. But if you go back, not only did the crowd stay there, many of them turned around and started yelling to the media, "You did this, you did this," and giving them the middle finger at the same time. And so right they were. So why would people in July be willing to sacrifice their life for President Trump? Everybody, you know what? Everybody in that Butler rally, all those great MAGA patriots, every single one of them was a Beamer. You know whose Beamer was? United Flight 93, 9/11. Never seen anything like that before. Live. Now it's part of the historical record. People willing to sacrifice and give their life and take a bullet for this man in July have not turned against him in some fake news polls. The lowest of the low in our society are the mainstream media. They are scum. They are a poison. They are sleazy. Why do you think they have so many sexual problems? Remember Matt Lauer? Even Roger Ailes and all that freak show that was going on? Why do you think they have so many problems in the sexual department? Because they're lowlives with no morals. So I'm going to go through, after the first break, I'm going to go through this Fox News poll's methodology. This is such a fake poll, like the one with ABC News yesterday. I'm not going to go through the breakdown on the poll. I'm going right to the methodology of it, and I'm going to share it with you. And I'll tell you, it was not as easy to find as the ABC Washington Post Ipsos poll yesterday. It's almost like they don't want you to know who they polled and how they did it. I guess somehow legally they're required to share this information and make it accessible with their polls. I don't know, but it's available. And you can look at it yourself. It's on my X, Brian Craig Show on X. But today is a celebration of the greatest president of our lifetime, arguably the greatest president in American history, Donald Trump. That's right. And this first 100 days of his second term, I think, has been beautiful and glorious and perfect. I'd like to hear your thoughts on Trump's first 100 days of his second non-consecutive term. Our number's toll-free, no matter where you're listening, 1-888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. It's a toll-free call. You don't have to be MAGA to call. But I'll tell you this. This is the most amazing presidency of any of our lifetimes because of everything they put Trump through in the last 4 years. They've arrested him multiple times on fake charges. They sued him. They got mugshots. They arrested everybody around him. They arrested his lawyers. They shot him. They tried to shoot him again. They broke into his home, broke into his personal safe, tossed his son's room, tossed his wife's room, our closet, tossed his private desk. And after all that, they shot him. And then they tried to do it again. So now they're putting out fake polls today. But that's okay. We'll break them all down. Ready to go to break? Can we go to break? Okay. We're going to take our first break of this Tuesday morning. And when we come back, we'll take your calls. And I'm going to expose this fake news, Fox News poll. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. We'll be right back.
Don't sit on the sidelines. Get in on the action. Call the Steve Kane Show live on air now. 888-GO-KANE-1. This is the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig.
Hey, it's Scott on the radio reminding you that your favorite oldies are back on the air right after 10 a.m. this morning on the True Oldies channel.
Attention, True Oldies listeners. By popular demand, Sloman's is bringing back their unbeatable offer. How would you like to spring into the season with a free doorbell camera? Yes, you heard that right. You get a doorbell camera, and you get a doorbell camera. Everybody gets a doorbell camera. That's right. The first 40 callers who dial 1-833-283-5050 can unlock this limited time offer, featuring a free doorbell camera that connects directly to your smartphone, complete with professional installation of your Sloman Shield. But wait, there's more. When you activate our low-cost central station monitoring, you'll also receive a free customized home security system, along with professional installation. Your new security system includes a high-tech LED touchscreen, a motion detector, 10 contacts, a lifetime warranty, and a backup battery. Don't miss out. Be one of the first 40 True Oldies listeners to call 1-833-283-5050 to claim your free doorbell camera with Sloman Shield installation. That's 1-833-283-5050. Call now.
Men, just because you're getting older doesn't mean you have to feel it. At the Bio Station in West Delray, Dr. Mitch Matez, an expert in hormone replacement therapy,
Welcome, guys. If you're new, make sure that you subscribe.
is all natural and can restore your hormones to where they were in your 20s. You'll feel younger, have more energy, even get
Hey.
And for women, hormone replacement pellet therapy can completely stop and reverse the signs and symptoms of menopause. No more loose wings, better sleep, and no more night sweats. Call Dr. Matez for a free consultation today at 561-320-8893. That's 561-320-8893.
Have you put off buying new tires because you thought they were too expensive? Find
Also, that worked out for you.
prices at Friendly Tire in Margate on both new and used tires. New tires as low as $70 a tire. That's out the door and on the road. Because Friendly Tire doesn't charge you to balance the tire or mount the tire. They have thousands of used tires in stock too, starting at just $30. Call for a quote right over the phone.
Oh, okay.
954-977-9445. 954-977-9445.
Oh my gosh. Long day.
Do you suffer from neuropathy?
Oh my gosh.
I did until I went to Lighthouse Medical Center in Pompano. Numbness, pain, burning, tingling
Welcome,
in
everyone.
my hands and feet, muscle weakness, loss of balance, muscle twitching have all but disappeared. Say goodbye to your neuropathy symptoms. Call Lighthouse Medical Center for a free consultation. 754-222-6642.
Now back to the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig. Listen in the Palm Beaches on 95.9 FM, the Treasure Coast on 106.9 FM, Harrison Book on 95.3 FM, Fort Lauderdale on 96.9 FM, and anywhere in the world at True.
Alrighty, welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Radio Show. We're celebrating the first 100 days of Trump's second non-consecutive term. I want to talk about Tom Laporta at Laporta Contracting and Roofing. He's been with us for a long time, and you know we found Tom Laporta because Steve, he had a wet spot on his ceiling, and you know what that means when you have a wet spot on your ceiling? It means you got a leak in the roof, and Steve ignored it. And that spot, it was a tiny little spot, you know, maybe about the size of a quarter, and this spot got bigger and bigger and bigger, and then he started getting spots all over the ceiling, all over the house, because that leak gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And he finally said, okay, I'm going to do something about it. And we found Tom Laporta. Tom Laporta came out and took care of everything. But because when Steve saw that first wet spot on his ceiling, he didn't seek out Tom Laporta then. He had to get a whole new roof. 40% of the drywall in his house was infected with deadly black mold, so that had to be replaced. And all the moisture from allowing that roof to leak for I don't know how long created a breeding ground for termites who were eating his house up. It was a mess and a great expense that could have been avoided if he would have called Tom Laporta when he saw that first wet spot on his ceiling, because you know Tom Laporta will never sell you a roof you do not need. Now I've had some listeners say, whoa, who would buy a roof they don't need? A lot of people do every day who call other roofers, not Tom Laporta, because other roofers will often tell you you need a new roof when you only need a simple repair. If you just need a simple repair, Tom will do it. I also want to let you guys know that, and this is absolutely amazing. You know, Tom Laporta at Laporta Contracting and Roofing was voted one of the best general contractors and best roofers in all of South Florida, which is Hurricane Alley. He covers both the east and west coast of Florida and everywhere in between. I'm going to give you Tom Laporta's number. This number rings directly to his cell phone. Now, you can also go to his website, laportaroofing.com, and there's a number there at laportaroofing.com, but that's not Tom Laporta's cell phone. He gives out his cell phone number to our listeners. You can call or text. 954-604-4602. 954-604-4602. That's 954-604-4602. And online, laportaroofing.com. Okay, our number is 1-888-465-2631. So what I have on the table right now is I'd like to hear your thoughts on this great and glorious first 100 days of Trump's second non-consecutive term. And also explain to me how last summer MAGA was willing to lay down their life and take bullets for President Trump and Butler, but now they turned against him, according to these fake news polls. How does that even make sense? You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air.
Hello?
Yes? All right, Jupiter, what's on your mind?
Okay, I want to make 3 comments about President Trump. The first one I want to point out actually involves you as well as him, because you do something on this show that I absolutely adore. People will call up and they will make a comment, and it's usually about Trump. It could be about anything, but it's usually about Trump, and it doesn't have any substance. And you very politely say to them, give me an instance where. And 100% of the time, they have no answer. It's precious. I just hope you keep doing it because it's wonderful.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely, from the bottom of my heart. 2 brief things about President Trump. You know, the guy is 80 years old almost. I retired when I was 65, and I love retirement. Most guys his age with his money could be retired. He has nothing to gain. I know this has been said before, but he's just working his tail off because he loves America, and that totally gets lost in the whole scene because the Democrats that make it get lost. But the second thing, most importantly, is you commented a couple months ago about there'll never be another Trump, and there'll never be another president like him. His economic prowess is unequaled, and we will never see another like him. It is incredible. The things he comes up with are uncanny. I don't know where.
Well, look at, and because he comes from the world of business where results are mandatory or you're out of business. But you know, I mean, look what he did with Macron at the Pope's funeral. He's talking with Zelensky. Macron comes over and he says, "You shouldn't be here. Leave." When have you ever seen a president do that?
Never.
No, that was beautiful. I mean, this guy's so transparent.
And to me, there'll never be another economist in the White House in our lifetime like him. But what I think it hopefully hammers home is that future presidents, let's just throw out a name for 28, Marco Rubio, make sure you bring in the same outstanding team around you that he has done this time and for future generations, because it is so crucial to our existence.
Well, you know, the thing with Marco Rubio, he was very bad in 2015, okay? And when he was first in the Senate, he was talking about amnesty and all that stuff. Yeah, that's right. He was young. He's grown up. And you know, Marco Rubio, his people called me to interview him on when he was running for Senate last time, and I was very shocked to get the phone call that I didn't call. They called me and said, "Do you want to interview Senator Rubio?" Absolutely, and it was so, you know. And I support him strongly now. But and he's doing a great job. But my only concern with Marco Rubio is a lot of his friends and contacts are Florida Republicans, and those are Bush Republicans, and they suck, right? Yeah, you know. So I agree with everything you said. If he becomes the nominee, he needs to get these MAGA people around him, not these Jeb Bush Republicans. And that's a danger, you know, because the people bring to the cabinet their friends that they know, that they feel comfortable with a lot. But
I'm aware of that. Okay.
Well, yeah, he came up here in Florida, right? He was in the state legislature and got term limited out of Tallahassee, then ran for the Senate. So, you know, a lot of his connections are now that doesn't mean he's going to be a Bush Republican after this, because he's doing so well, but you know, you never know.
Well, hopefully somebody's grooming him behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right. I appreciate the call. Dr. Ken from Jupiter. All right, take care. All right, now this Fox News poll, and this is the poll that Never Trumper Steve called in about. But I'm not sharing this methodology because of Never Trumper Steve calling about it. You know, Never Trumper Steve is a total propagandist. You know, that yesterday, Sunday and Monday, the fake news were running with that ABC Washington Post poll. I pulled up the methodology and boom, you know, exposed it, right? And Steve just couldn't let that happen. So he brought up a poll where I didn't have the methodology at my fingertips, the Fox News poll. But that's not why I'm doing this. The reason I'm doing this is because social media and Fox are promoting this poll. Now, there's some good things in the poll for Trump, but there's also things that they're highlighting that are bad. And, you know, I don't follow polls. Mainly when I talk about polls, I talk about them for two reasons. One, Steve Kane's into polls. So, you know, he likes to talk about them, so we do. But the other time I talk about them is to expose what the media are doing. And what's going on right now is a fake news, fake poll dump. Because today's Trump's 100th day of his second term, and they want to try to take the celebration away and make you think that people have turned against him. So when they do this, I'm not going to go through the results of the poll. That's terminally boring. If you want to be bored, find Joyce Kaufman. She's on in the afternoons, and it's complete. Now, I will caution you, please don't listen to Joyce Kaufman while you're driving, okay? Yeah, I know, it's not a good idea. Best to record it and listen to it as you go to bed. It's like a self-hypnosis tape. You'll fall right asleep. But I want to, when I go through the polls, mainly what I'll be doing and have done is go through the methodology. You know, I never was good at math in school or in college. I hated it. And I took statistics. Oh, man, statistics is so... If you're not good at math, when you go to college, take statistics. It counts as one of your required math courses. And it's easy as easy gets. And it's you know, it's a math of manipulation is what it is, right? But so this is the Fox News polls methodology. Now, again, there's good things in this poll for Trump, but of course the media are grabbing onto the negatives. The poll was conducted March 14th through the 17th. That's over a month ago, man. It's going to be May in a couple days, and they're talking about a poll from March. But listen to this. They interviewed a sample of 994 registered voters. 994? That doesn't sound like a very large sample. And registered voters. Now remember, when you're polling and you want to do a poll and you want to have a liberal leaning result, you get as least scientific as possible. Meaning registered voters or Americans. The ABC Washington Post poll yesterday, that was of Americans. That's the worst. That's the least accurate, most left-leaning poll. The most left-leaning and accurate after that's registered voters. Remember, if you're doing scientific polling on a candidate, on a presidential poll or a political poll, the scientific polling, you poll likely voters. Likely voters are defined as a voter who voted in the past 2 elections and plan on voting in the next. That's a likely voter, okay? A registered voter, that you can be registered, you may never vote, right? The least scientific they get, the more left-leaning they are. So the Fox News poll, a sample of 994 registered voters, so left-leaning right there, randomly selected. Respondents spoke with live interviewers on landlines. Who has a landline? You know, you hear it the calls we take at the radio station. That's an internet phone. That's not even who has a landline? And cell phones, or completed the survey online. See, just like that new thing, that how do you get an accurate poll online? Results based on the full sample have a margin of error of plus or minus 3 percentage points. You can't, this is a hardcore liberal sample, left-leaning polls. So what I'm telling you is, and there were some good things in that poll for Trump, don't get me wrong. Whenever you see a poll, don't listen to the results. Look for the methodology. You can always find it. It may not be on that page. You may have to go to the original story, but there's usually a link inside the story that takes you to the methodology of the poll, who tells you who they polled. And if it's not perfect for Trump, it's always a left-leaning poll. Now, so far as this new thing they're doing, you cannot do scientific polling online. Polling online is open to too much manipulation. All right, so we're going to take our break for the bottom of the hour. We have a lot more to talk about. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. We'll be right back.
Making morning radio great again. It's the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig.
Hey, it's Scott on the radio, reminding you that your favorite oldies are back on the air right after 10 a.m. this morning on the True Oldies channel.
Now, here's the True Oldies weather forecast.
Your current weather is a mostly cloudy 77 degrees, and later on this morning we should expect some breeze and sunshine along with a couple of thunder showers with a high of 50 degrees. And this evening expect some breeze and a partly cloudy low of 72 degrees. While tomorrow's going to be a partly sunny and breezy high of 82 degrees. While tomorrow evening we should expect some clouds and a breeze with a low of 74 degrees.
And now, a True Oldies traffic check. Brought to you by the Palm Beach Kennel Club.
Emergency vehicles reported to still on the scene of an earlier crash, Military Trail at Purdy Lane. There's construction, Okeechobee Boulevard at Haverhill Road. Spot something on the roads, call the traffic tip line, pound 250, keyword westbound traffic on routes.
Traffic, a service of the Palm Beach Kennel Club. The Moneymaker Tour is back at PBKC with over $500,000 in guarantees, 26 trophy events, live streaming, and tournaments for all types of players. This week, check out the multi-flight event with a $100,000 guarantee. May is bigger and better in the poker room with daily and weekend progressive high hands, a $15,000 cash giveaway, and $100,000 in promotion payouts. Poker at PBKC. Go to our website, pbkennelclub.com.
When you need medical, don't waste hours and hours waiting at the doctor's office or one of those big labs. Go to any lab test now in Boca and any lab test now in Coral Springs. The prices are guaranteed to be the lowest you'll find anywhere. No appointment, doctor's order, or prescription is needed, and you're in and out in 15 minutes or less. They offer every lab and blood work your doctor can order. They even have drug testing and STD testing. Take control of your health care and visit any lab test now in Boca and any lab test now in Coral Springs. There's lots of any lab test nows around, but these are the only two advertising on our radio station. So don't use the rest. Only go to any lab test now in Boca.
This is a Florida orange shirt, guys.
Make sure you tell them you heard about them on the radio. If you're a homeowner or with a homeowners association and your roof is old or compromised, you need to call Tom Laporta at Laporta Roofing. Laporta Roofing has been in the roofing and construction business since 1984, with thousands of roof installations and thousands of satisfied customers. Did you know that in the state of Florida, you can open a roofing company and borrow someone else's license?
That's crazy.
Laporta is the holder of his roofing and general contractor's licenses. Not like the other companies that borrow other people's licenses. So be sure who you're dealing with. Tom Laporta and his team are honest, knowledgeable, and reliable, and he'll never sell you a roof you don't need. Laporta Roofing carries all insurance, including workers' compensation on all of its employees. Not just a waiver.
Now I'm holding my pants up because I've lost all this weight. My pants are falling down.
Residential roofing, HOAs, condominiums, and churches. If it's roofing, Laporta Roofing can do it. So call Tom Laporta on his cell phone, 954-604-4602. Or connect online at laportaroofing.com. That number again is 954-604-4602. Laporta Roofing, the go-to roofing company you can trust.
We're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This spring, I just received my 7th and 8th set of Mike Lindell sheets. This time we got flannel ones, which we had never had. I got one for my husband for Christmas. He loves it. Oh my God. And especially with the cold days and nights you've been having the last few months in Florida, I got 2 more. I send them to my friends for Christmas now, and they just love them. Absolutely love them.
Yeah, I have the flannels too. You're like Goldilocks. They keep you the same temperature all night long.
Yes. So, perfect. The guy just has a great product.
The thing with Mike Lindell's sheets, all of them, the fitted sheet at the bottom
fits perfectly on the mattress. Every other sheet, you can't get the four corners on. And it's almost impossible. Even after having them for years and washing them, I don't know how many times, they still fit perfectly.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
You're probably going to be on the next My Pillow commercial, just so you know, okay? Because
Okay.
okay, just to let you know.
You heard Lynn from Boynton. She loves her My Pillow sheets. Order yours right now at a huge discount. Use our promo code KANE, K-A-N-E, at checkout at mypillow.com.
To the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig, celebrating 48 years on the air.
Alrighty, we're back. I'm Brian. This is Steve Kane Show. Our number 1-888-465-2631. Okay, so Canada pretty much declared war on the United States yesterday. They had their election, however that freak show works up in Canada. And this liberal lunatic, Connie, is now the prime minister. And I don't know what carny means in other countries, but there's nothing lower than a carny in this country. Carnies are, this is what I don't get. You go to fairs. I go to the fair. You go to carnivals, and people ride these rides that do crazy things. They're put together by basically homeless carnies. Oh my goodness. Carney is a con man, a lowlife. But let me play. This is so this guy. He's the prime minister of this tiny little insignificant country known as Canada. Land-wise, Canada's big, but it's got a population only about 10% of the United States, and about 90%. Think about this: about 90% of the Canadian economy is dependent on the United States. Isn't that nuts? Joe Thomas is going to be here later. And, we're going to talk about annuities. And what I talked to Tom about, and this is kind of like my rule of thumb that I learned from, one thing I learned in life is, and this Tony Robbins, this is basically what Tony Robbins does. It just doesn't cost you tens of thousands of dollars to go to the seminar. But if you want to be successful, find others that are successful in what you want to be successful at and do what they're doing, right? Copycat. And I've heard this from multiple successful people, right? Have at least 3, you hear me talk to Joe Thomas about this all the time, have at least 3 sources of income coming in. At least. You want to have as many as you can, but have at least 3. Because if one is slow, the other 2 will be fine. And that was some of the best advice I'd ever gotten from someone. And that's what I do, right? In my private life. Multiple income streams. That's why we talk about annuities so much. That guarantees you a revenue stream for the rest of your life, right? You want to have as many income streams as possible. Canada has one income stream. It's the United States. That's it. 90%, now maybe a point down or up or whichever way, but about 90% of the Canadian economy is based and reliant on the United States. So Canada has one income stream. We pay for everything. Their universal health care system. Oh yeah. They want us to model them. When Obamacare was being discussed, Obama and all these Democrats, Canada, it's perfect. Well, we don't have another country funding us like we're funding Canada. The universal health care system of Canada works because the United States pays for it. My mother-in-law is originally from Canada. She's an American citizen, has been for a long, long time. But, she has Canadian relatives. They come down here. They love Trump. They're conservative. But there was someone in her family that needed heart surgery, and they were here in Florida. And they were on the phone talking to whoever you talk to in Canada. And if you're 75, you don't get the surgery. Can you imagine? If you're 7, it's like Logan's Run up there. But their universal healthcare system is only functional because we're paying for it. We pay for their military. We pay everybody's salary up there. It's a welfare state. Canada is a welfare state of the United States. So while I'm telling you, you need to have at least 3 income streams, Canada has one, the United States, right? So basically, Canada not only is dependent on the United States, they work for us. It's a client state. So imagine this. You become the prime minister of this client state of the United States, Canada. You go out and you give your acceptance speech, right? And the man who not only is paying all your country's bills, but paying the salary of all of your citizens. And this is what he says. This is Connie.
As I've been warning for months, America wants our land, our resources, our water, our country.
Okay, first off, we don't want Jack from Canada, all right? And we don't need Jack from Canada. You know, this thing about water, I cannot remember the name of this show. I was watching a few years ago, I did this binge watch on, I can't remember, it was on Netflix or something years ago, and it was about this Canadian drug dealer. And like their version of the FBI were about it. And they were always talking about how the United States was violating their water rights. What is this, 1880? When the Ponderosa? We don't want your water. We don't want your lumber. We don't want anything from you. We don't even want your Canadian maple syrup. We got our own syrup here. We got Aunt Jemima. And we don't want Canadian bacon. That's ham. We have ham here. But let me play the whole thing. But this thing about water rights, what's he talking about?
I've been warning for months. America wants our land, our resources, our water, our country. Never. But these are not.
Oh, I heard some French back there. You know. What did they say? Jamais? What does that mean? Can I have to dump myself with that? I don't even know what that means. He's got the French Canadians back there. Oh my goodness.
I've been warning for months. America wants our land, our resources, our water, our country. Never. But these are not idle threats. President Trump is trying to break us so that America can own us. That will never ever happen. But
they don't sound, those Canadians don't sound too confident in Connie. That was kind of like a slow applause, you know. He paused for applause and it really wasn't there.
So that America can own us. That will never ever happen. But we also must recognize the reality that our world has fundamentally changed.
Okay. Yes, it has. All right, we got Trump back in power. We don't want anything from Canada except what they've stolen from us. Our auto industry and other manufacturing that they stole from us with the help of Bill Clinton with NAFTA. But I want you to think about this now. Your country is almost 100% funded by the United States. You just win election to be prime minister, and you go out and declare war on the president and the country? Doesn't sound like this guy's too smart, does it? Who's going to win? Who's going to win this? All right, now we'll take our last break of the first hour. It's the Steve Kane Show. I'm Brian Craig. We'll be right back.
The cold, hard truth. Delivered morning 6 to 9 right here on The Steve Kane Show.
My name is Dr. Philip Appleton. I'm a chiropractic physician. Over the years, I've treated thousands and thousands of patients from bursitis, tendinitis, sciatica, stenosis, neuropathy, tears, post-surgery, pre-surgery, herniated disc, gout, bone on bone. If you can name the pain, most likely I've treated it over the years. Most of my practice is laser with robotic lasers. They're robots which rotates constantly around the area, where most lasers do not do that. So if you want to come in for a free consultation, as always here, welcome at Appleton Chiropractic. I'm here 6 days a week. I personally do all the treatment. You can bring your MRIs, you can bring your x-rays, you can bring your CAT scans, whatever you have to bring for me to look at, I would do that free of charge.
Call Dr. Appleton right now for that free consultation. 954-973-0710. 954-973-0710. And online, AppletonChiro.com.
This is Steve Kane. I want to tell you about my favorite restaurant in all of South Florida, Wings Plus in Coral Springs. Wings just the way you like them. Plump, tender, and delicious, crispy on the outside, succulent on the inside. Everything homemade, nothing comes out of a can. Dozens of specialty sauces that will make your mouth water. Wings Plus, located in Coral Springs, a mile west of University on the south side of Sample Road.
Hey, my True Oldies listeners, John Tesh here with some intelligence for your retirement this time. When you're looking for a retirement advisor, you know trust and experience are two big qualities to look for. And as it turns out, my friend Jupiter Joe Thomas possesses both of these. Whether you're in retirement or looking to retire, I want you to give local expert Joe Thomas a call. Here's the number, 561-743-0999. Or, even simpler, you can go to JupiterJoe.com. Mention my name, John Tesh. You'll receive a free copy of Joe's book, Retirement Know-It-All. Great book. Call 561-743-0999. Or remember, go to JupiterJoe.com. That's JupiterJoe.com.
Scott from CutMyKilowatts.com. I'm back. Dog days of summer are upon us. Your AC is struggling, running constantly, trying to hold the temperature, maybe even failing late afternoon. Your electric bill has gone up, even double. Radiant Barrier is the cure. Stop the heat gain, lowering the temperature in your attic up to 40 degrees, cutting the FPL bills up to 40%. Dog days of summer sale. Save 50% on Radiant Barrier and insulation. Insulation removal, rat proofing, and we even do AC ducts in the heat of summer. Act now and get $500 off Radiant Barrier jobs over 2,000 square feet and $1,000 off barrier jobs over 4,000 square feet, plus a 30% federal tax credit. So call now, 954-939-1500. That's 954-939-1500. And talk to the owner, Scott. That's 954-939-1500 or CutMyKilowatts.com. Estimates given on the phone, work done in days, not weeks. Easier than ordering a pizza.
We take on the social justice warriors for breakfast. Now the Steve Kane Show is on the air.
All right, we're back. I'm Brian to Steve Kane Show. Yeah, I just want to add on to Scott from Cut My Kilowatts. He's been with us here on the Steve Kane Show for over 15 years. I remember when we first met him. And he brought Radiant Barrier to South Florida. And the way, when I was talking to Scott yesterday, the way I describe it to people, what the Radiant Barrier does is it's like putting a massive shade tree over your entire home. Have you ever gone up into your attic in the summer? I have. I've gone up there because I use my attic for storage. And you can be up there for 60 seconds. You come out, you look like you've taken a shower fully clothed. You're soaking wet. It's the heat in the attic. And that heat, it's on your ceiling, so it heats up your house. And your AC ducts are up there, and it also heats them up. So you get the Radiant Barrier. You put your house under a shade tree, and your air conditioner doesn't have to work so hard to cool your home. It really is amazing. And his number is also his cell phone number. You can call or text Scott, and he'll give you a quote right over the phone. This is Scott from Cut My Kilowatts, 954-939-1500. And again, he's been with us over 15 years. He joins us every summer. And I came in today, and it was like 76 degrees at like 5:30 in the morning. When I was driving to the radio station today, I was like, oh my goodness, it's going to be a scorcher today. 954-939-1500. That's 954-939-1500. All right, one last thing on the idiot Prime Minister. This is the Canadian Prime Minister talking about the climate. Listen.
Skepticism about ESG labels or sustainable labels. And it, again, is one of the reasons we're having this ruthless, relentless focus on net zero. Because in the end, look, we can't stabilize the climate unless we get to net zero. And it's as simple, these are hard numbers. Your emissions are either A or B, they're going up or down. And if they're going down, are they going down consistent with the science? We anchor it in the science, the same science the UN and others use for the 1.5 degree objectives.
Okay, so net zero, you know what it is with this guy? He's a man out of style. You know, he's like from the 90s. What Trump did was end globalism. This guy, the global warming thing is gone. When's the last time you heard? I don't even know if Al Gore's talking about it anymore. You know what net zero is? You know what net zero is? They get enough money for all their fake green companies, and it cancels out the emissions. I was talking about this on one of my live streams on YouTube over the weekend. You know, these lunatics like Connie about reducing carbon emissions. Do you know how many people they've gotten killed? I mean, I don't even know if it's possible to put a number on it. How do these lunatics with their net zero carbon emissions get people killed? You know how they do it? The number one thing they attack, at least in this country, is auto emissions. They want to make cars more efficient, right? You get a new car and it shuts down at every stoplight. Oh my goodness. But how do they think about this, how do they reduce carbon emissions from cars? Do they make engines more efficient? No. What do? They want to reduce carbon emissions. They want to get net zero for their climate change, global warming scam. So what do? They lighten the car. They reduce the weight of the vehicle. So how do they do that? They make it out of plastic or thinner metal. So what happens? You get into a fender bender and you're dead. All right? Do you know how many people they've killed in car accidents that would have lived because of their requirement? What do they call them? The cafe standards, I think is what they used to talk about it all the time. But people die every day because of people like Connie, because they require emissions requirements in modern vehicles that can only be achieved by making the cars out of plastic. It's crazy. You've got to be very careful with what cars you buy and research that if you want to live. I do. You get those liberal cars and that's that. All right, so that's that with Canada. Good luck, Canada. Now, there's some other thing, and if you'd like to call in, our number is 888-465-2631, toll free. What President Trump did at the White House yesterday was beautiful. It was beautiful. He put up those signs of the most violent criminals you could imagine that they've arrested and deported, many of them already. Rapists, murderers, drug traffickers, human traffickers. And they lined the White House driveway with them, and they put it right behind where all the reporters stand to do the reports from the White House. It was so smart. I don't know whose idea that was. I don't know if it was President Trump or someone in the cabinet or a staffer. But whoever came up with that idea, they deserve to be recognized for that. That was the most beautiful, smartest thing I've ever seen on Trump's 99th day of his second term. And it was an introduction to today, the 100th day, because that's one of his great accomplishments of the first 100 days here, are these roundups of these violent criminals. It was absolutely amazing. And this thing when they talk about, and the Democrats were like physically ill over this yesterday. The media were having meltdowns over it. And, look at they're not just defending wife beaters and drug pushers, but human trafficking. Well, I saw one up there that said human trafficking or trafficker or trafficking, one or the other. What human trafficking is? Which is what this Maryland man was doing in Tennessee that's in El Salvador. You know what human trafficking is? It's the slave trade. It's trafficking in slaves. Human trafficking is trafficking people to be held in servitude, in bondage. Sex slavery, labor slavery. Sometimes they work in restaurants, construction sites, hotels, massage parlors. It's slavery. They call it human trafficking. And, the Democrats, who are obsessed with slavery and their 1619 project and all this garbage, they're allowing, endorsing, defending, and even assisting in modern day slavery through the human trafficking. So Michelle Obama, did you see this with Michelle Obama? She's trying to make her podcast relevant. I don't listen to her podcast. I listened to the first episode. I do have a clip, but it doesn't mean I listen to it. And I don't think many people are, or we would be hearing about that. But what happens is something happens. Someone takes a clip and puts it online. Everybody watches the clip. This is Michelle Obama, and she's talking about the deportations. This is on her most recent podcast.
We couldn't walk around saying valedictorian, straight A student, speaks excellent, has excellent diction if you give them a chance.
I guess what she's talking about here is what they could have put on the signs. I don't know. Instead of human trafficker, killer, murderer.
We knew very early on that no one was going to see beyond the color of our skin at an early age.
Oh my goodness.
And that could get you in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about that fear.
Oh no, this is more pathetic than I thought. This isn't her podcast. Her and her weirdo brother are on somebody else's podcast, desperate for listeners. Well, hey, if she wants to do interviews, Michelle Obama is welcome here anytime for the full 3 hours in studio. I've got some questions for her. Michelle Obama said, we knew people weren't going to look past our skin color. She grew up in Chicago. Her best friend in high school was Jesse Jackson's daughter. She grew up very well, okay? Her family was well-to-do. She grew up in a black city in a black neighborhood. Everybody's black there. I mean, so what is she talking about?
That fear has been tested across your life in so many different places. And I wonder, what would you say has been the most hardest recent test of that fear? Because
and this guy with his English accent, and what a lot liberals love people with British accents because it makes their liberal garbage sound intelligent.
One of those fears that you kind of get over and it just goes away. It kind of shows its head in many different ways, I imagine.
Well, in this current climate for me, it's, what's happening to immigrants.
Oh, the illegals.
Fear for myself anymore. I drive around in a 4-car motorcade with a police escort.
Oh my goodness. So if she didn't have her Secret Service details, she'd be in danger because she's a black woman in America? I mean, come on. What is this? 1925 or 2025? Oh my goodness.
Still worry about my daughters in the world, even though they are somewhat recognizable. So my fears are for what I know is happening out there in streets all over the city. And now that we have leadership that is sort of indiscriminately determining who belongs and who doesn't, and we know that those decisions aren't being made with courts and with due process, and that it's being made like this cop that pulled my brother over when he was 12. You don't look like somebody that belongs.
Okay, well, I'll get to the rest of the thing. Now, this is her weirdo brother got pulled. You don't look like someone who belongs here. I remember when I was like 18 or 19, I had this car that was a rust bucket, and I got pulled over in Parkland. I was visiting a friend of mine in Parkland, and I got pulled over. You know why they pulled me over? Because my hunk of junk didn't look like a car that belongs in Parkland. But if I'm Michelle Obama's weirdo brother, they pulled me over because I'm black. No, I'm white. That there's a profile. I was in pulled over more than once when I used to drive junky cars, and I'd be in a neighborhood where at night, and those are the kind of people that case neighborhoods. But anyway, back to Michelle. She's got some problems with the immigrants here. What's going on?
Like this cop that pulled my brother over when he was 12. You don't look like somebody that belongs. I can determine just by looking at you that you're a good person or you're not a good person. And knowing that there's so much bias and so much racism and so much ignorance that fuels those kind of choices, I worry for people of color all over this country. And I don't know that we will have the advocates to protect everybody. And that makes me
that frightens me. It keeps me up at night.
Oh, it keeps her up at night. The deportation, now again, I'm sure everyone's going to pick up on this today because this clip, everyone's sharing this clip, right? The deportations are keeping Michelle Obama up at night. Now, I may be wrong a little bit on the number because Obama has not been president for a long time. Obama deported about 6 million illegals from this country. Was she up at night at the White House because her husband that she was sleeping next to maybe? I don't know, maybe I don't know if they slept in the same bedroom or not. I mean, but maybe they did, maybe they didn't. I don't know. May not be room in that bed between his ego and as big as her body is. May not have been room for both of them in a bed. But when her husband deported 6 million illegals from the country, did it keep her up at night at the White House? Oh, we're late for the break. We'll be right back.
WSFS 104.3 HD3 Miramar, WIRK 103.1 HD3 Indiantown, and Hurry Broward on 96.9 FM, Boca Raton on 95.3 FM, West Palm Beach on 95.9 FM, and in Martin County on 106.9 FM. Programming paid for by Vic Canales Media Group. Your home for the Steve Kane Show. Now, here's the True Oldies weather forecast. And now, a True Oldies traffic check, brought to you by the Palm Beach Kennel Club.
Emergency vehicles reportedly still on the scene of an earlier accident, Military Trail at Purdy Lane. Spot something on the roads, call the traffic tip line, pound 250 keyword westbound traffic on roads.
Traffic, a service of the Palm Beach Kennel Club. This Saturday, make plans to be a part of the fun and excitement at PBKC to watch, wager, and win on the Kentucky Derby. Enjoy delicious barbecue, music, derby hat contest, mint juleps, paddock buffet, and more. PBKC is the only place to play in Palm Beach County. Plus, the poker room has amazing daily and progressive high hands, moneymaker tour tournaments, and table game action. Don't miss the Kentucky Derby this Saturday at PBKC. Go to our website at pbkennelclub.com.
Brian Craig here. When it comes time to get my blood work done, I don't have time to spend hours in the doctor's office or waiting hours in one of those big labs. That's why I go to Any Lab Test Now of Boca and Any Lab Test Now of Coral Springs for all of my lab work. Their techs are highly skilled and professional, and their prices are guaranteed to be the lowest on lab work you'll find anywhere. Appointments aren't necessary. Doctor's orders and prescriptions, they're not needed either. I'm in and out in 15 minutes or less. I get the results the next day in my email box, and they also send it to my doctor. There's lots of Any Lab Test Nows around, but these are the only two advertising on our radio station. So don't use the rest. Only go to Any Lab Test Now of Boca and Any Lab Test Now of Coral Springs. Any Lab Test Now of Boca is in the Sandalfoot Plaza. That's where the Western Beef is, between Palmetto Park Road and Hillsborough Boulevard on the east side of State Road 7, 441. Any Lab Test Now of Coral Springs is on the southeast corner of University and Bramblewood by the Coral Square Mall. Call Any Lab Test Now of Boca at 561-237-5009. Any Lab Test Now of Coral Springs number is 954-906-5983. Don't forget to mention that you heard about them on the radio.
Okay.
On the air since 1977, it's the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig.
All right, hour number 2 has begun. I'm Brian. It is Tuesday, celebrating the first 100 days of Trump's second term. Carolyn Leavitt made a big mistake yesterday. I don't know how this happened. You know, she had a White House press briefing early in the morning while we were on the air. Like started at 8:30 yesterday morning. And I'm sure that won't happen again. That was a mistake. They're not supposed to have press conferences until after 9 a.m. But she had this press conference yesterday, and a lot of it had to do with the unveiling of those signs of all the violent, criminal, murdering illegals that they've apprehended and arrested. And so they did this and had a whole media blitz in the morning. But out of all of Carolyn Leavitt's press conferences, this one was the best because Tom Homan got involved. Did you guys catch this? It was absolutely beautiful. And, you know, I got two clips I'm going to play. They're both of Tom Homan, Our Borders Are. And, you know, the media are such low-life scumbuckets. The things that he says are so amazing and everything. And you just sense it in the room. They're so angry at him. They are just filled with rage at Tom Homan. The first one I want to play is this is a quick one. The other one's the more important one, but I want to play this one first. There's a lot of talk that Mexico didn't pay for the wall, that Trump said they'd pay for the wall, and they didn't. Well, that's not the case. They paid for it many times over, the Great Wall of Trump, in many different ways. But there was a reporter asked about this, and Tom Homan came up and grabbed the mic and gave an answer. And but the next clip is good too. But this is about Mexico paying for the wall.
He's scared that Mexico is not going to pay for it?
I mean, what kind of accent is that, by the way? Is that guy Mexican? Is he a Mexican reporter? Or is he Telemundo, Univision? I don't know, but a funny accent, you know, and he's upset with our border policy.
Scared that Mexico is not going to pay for it?
Let's address that. Trump said Mexico will pay for the wall. They have in a roundabout way, have they not? Putting 10,000 military on the northern and southern border, taking the action they did to remain in Mexico. They didn't have to do that. They're doing it. Putting military on the southern border. Have moved illegal immigration to a record low. We're saving millions of dollars every day on detention, transportation, removal proceedings. We've more than made up for the cost of that wall because the actions of Mexico. So is Mexico help build that wall? Yeah, but we're saving so much money, millions of dollars a day, that we can afford to build that wall. So
yeah, I mean, millions of dollars a day. That's paying for the wall. Just stopping the illegals coming in is paying for the wall. Plus, the doing away with NAFTA and all that helped. But what they're doing right there is paying. No one ever thought they were going to write a check to the United States for however much money and then write in the memo for the wall. Trump found other ways for them to pay for it, and that's one of them. But the next one, this moment is what really, this just, I was watching this, and the media are so, that when he brings this next clip, when Tom Homan speaks, the media are just filled with rage at him. Listen.
The morale of ICE and Border Patrol is at all-time high because they're getting to uphold the okay good and they're enforcing the law. Border Patrol and the Biden administration, I met with hundreds of them. They felt like Uber drivers and tourist agents. These men and women join the ranks of ICE and Border Patrol to enforce the law, make the community safer, and protect national security. I hear it all the time. There's a lot of people in this country who don't like me. I don't care. But when I walk through an airport, I have many people walking up to me and thank me for what I'm doing, and I'm not taking credit for anything. The success of the border and immigration enforcement is President Trump and the men and women wearing that uniform. God bless each and every one of them. But I take a pleasure in seeing it because in 40 years of doing this job, people always want to say, why are you so emotional when he testified? Why are you so emotional on the network? Because they wore my shoes for 40 years, they understand my emotion. I've talked to little girls as young as 9 years old, raped multiple times by the cartel members. And when you get to your knees and you talk to that little girl and everything innocent and pure has been ripped from her, when you listen to Laken Riley, 17 minutes, that young lady fight for her life, don't just think, okay, a young woman died. Think of how she died, the terror that she went through. And these children are sexually assaulted. I stood in back of a tractor trailer and 19 dead people at my feet that baked to death. Illegal immigration is not a victimless crime. And so every sick person we take off the streets, especially child rapists, it makes this country much safer. Every illegal alien we arrest, public safety threat, one at a time makes this country safer.
Okay, now, you know, both of the, everything he told was just horrific. 9-year-old girls, multiple that have been raped multiple times. And I did not know that Laken Riley fought that monster off for 17 minutes. You know, he didn't rape her. He was trying to, and she sacrificed her life to stop it. But I didn't know it went on for 17 minutes. That is a long time. I mean, that's just a god-awful, horrible, painful death, right? And this is who the left are defending and allowing this. You know, and these judges, here's the thing, okay? Not only is woke dead, but so is the Democrat Party. I know a lot of you, I'm not going to play the audio, but you've seen Schiff talk about his experience at Target and how he got robbed in San Francisco. And he said, you know, he had an experience in Target in California similar to Governor Newsom. And he said, we got to get the people back. He told that to Bill Maher. You know, they've lost the people in California, the Democrats. The Democrats are done. Now, we don't want them to correct this. You know, them defending these lunatics and monsters and everything helps us in the end because it makes them unelectable. But, you know, that press conference yesterday, I went back and watched it. And when Tom Homan shares information like that, you notice they don't ask him questions. Unless it's one of those guests that they bring in. They don't ask, you know, these media people, like the guy that was barking about, well, Mexico's not going to pay for the wall with his funny accent. They don't ask Tom Homan any follow-ups or questions about anything he shares, do they? And when the camera pans, because you get, you know, because they'll go back and forth and you can see the press, and you see the press from the front. You see it in their face. They hate that man. Now, I know a lot of people say, well, that's Trump derangement. I think Trump derangement syndrome just is too easy for them. You know, on yesterday's show, a guy called in and he says, well, what about the Soros Mafia? When are they going to be arrested? You know, there's a story in the news today about all the money that Soros was getting, hundreds of millions of dollars from USAID. And when USAID first got exposed, you know, I told you guys that it looks like Soros is kind of like a boogeyman, a front, that he's not using his own money. He's using the USAID taxpayer money. And what's happened here, and it's in the media too, but what's happened with the Democrat Party is the Democrat Party is no longer an American political party. It's run by radical revolutionaries who want to destroy the United States, like that judge in Wisconsin we were talking about yesterday. Their sole purpose of being in government is to bring about the downfall of the United States. They are revolutionaries and anarchists. Just because they have a college degree or a fancy job or a judge or a mayor or a member of Congress doesn't mean that their goal is not to bring down the United States. It's almost like that movie The Departed with Jack Nicholson and all of them, when he would recruit these young boys and get them to go to the police academy and become cops so they could help him with his organized crime ring. That's what's going on with the Democrats. They the Democrat Party. See, when the squad first came to Congress was kind of like the beginning of this new era with the Democrats, right? And even Pelosi was outraged. She said, you know, you're an activist, but you're in Congress now. You got to stop being an activist. These are not activists that they suck up to during the primary. Many of them are foreign nationals. They're racist, all kinds of bigotry. But when it gets down to it, they're radical, anarchist, revolutionaries, just like that Mahmoud that they're deporting from Colombia, who want to bring down the United States. They believe that the United States is the root cause of all the problems in the world. And people have woken up. And, you know, on this 100th day of Trump's second term, you know, one of the most important things he's done is expose what the Democrat Party is all about with this. And I think most people in the country are aware of what I just said. That's why Trump won every battleground state and had a landslide victory. Now, I want to talk about coastal weight loss secrets. Somebody called in yesterday and questioned whether I've done exercise or not. I have done 0 exercise and lost all this weight. 0. First off, I don't have time for exercise. And I wouldn't do it anyway. I mean, even if I had the time, I wouldn't do it. I've never been an exerciser. You know, I've had gym memberships, but you know how that goes. You never go. No, I have done 0 exercise. And, you know, people want to know how. Well, you got to call Coastal Weight Loss Secret and go over there and talk to them, Dr. Zuckerman, and he'll tell you exactly how. But I've lost over 35 pounds. The shirt I'm wearing today, I've had this shirt for a long time, but I've not worn it in a long time. It's been hanging in my closet. And the reason I've not worn it in a long time is because it stopped fitting me. And this shirt, which is very loose today, was like fitting me like a girdle. It was so tight. But I've lost so much weight, over 35 pounds. Lost all my belly and everything there in my waist. It fits like it's supposed to. It's absolutely amazing. And you can have the same experience. Maybe you want to lose less than I did. I lost more than I planned on. My goal was 25. I didn't think it was possible. I lost it in about a month. You know, it was amazing. And I kept losing. I'm eating, not only am I not doing any exercise, I'm eating foods I would normally eat. Okay? I'm eating foods I would normally eat. Wings Plus, Chipotle, Culver's, Pollo Tropical. You know, my wife and I don't cook. Okay? Since our daughter grew up and moved out, every meal we pretty much have delivered or get takeout or go somewhere and eat. So I'm eating foods I would normally eat, and I'm also not taking any prescription medication like Ozempic. Okay, a lot of people ask me that. And no, and I've lost all this weight. It's absolutely amazing. I still haven't gone and bought new clothes yet because I'm still losing, and I'm not sure if I'm going to stop or keep losing a little bit more. I weigh what I did when I got married, maybe even a little less now. But I haven't really decided. You know, a couple weeks ago, I talked to Coastal Weight Loss Secret and said, I think I lost 35 pounds. I'm going to stick with that. And I was like, you know what? It's no effort. You know, I'm not exercising and I'm not eating anything other than what I would normally eat. Why not go for a few more pounds? And I did. So whenever I finally decide I'm where I want to be, then I'll go out and buy new clothes. But right now, I'm just going to sit here with my hands in my pockets, holding my pants up because my pants are always falling down. Give Coastal Weight Loss Secret a call. When you call, make sure you tell them you heard about them on the True Oldies channel. The number is 561-247-6300. 561-247-6300. That's 561-247-6300. And online, coastalweightlossecret.com. We'll be right back.
Don't sit on the sidelines. Get in on the action. Call the Steve Kane Show live on air now. 888-GO-KANE-1. This is the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig.
Hey, it's Scott on the radio reminding you that your favorite oldies are back on the air right after 10 a.m. this morning, right here on the Oldies Show.
Do you suffer
If you're on hold, hang in there, guys.
I did until I went to Lighthouse Medical Center in Pompano. Numbness, pain, burning, tingling in my hands and feet, muscle weakness, loss of balance, muscle twitching have all but disappeared. Say goodbye to your neuropathy symptoms. Call Lighthouse Medical Center for a free consultation. 754-222-6642.
When it comes to dental work, there's no one better than Dr. Gupta at Brighton Dental. But don't just take my word for it. This is Richie the bus driver. He called in on the air to share his experience with Dr. Gupta. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, this is Richie, Dr. Gupta. I go 139 miles to this guy. I had a broken tooth. He fixed it. It was supposed to be temporary. It lasted 2 years. He put
Made in China? Maybe. I don't know. Could be made in Indonesia.
anybody else. And he's excellent. And
Possibly.
I recommend this guy.
My shirt could be made in China.
Ever. So I want to get
I doubt it's made in the United
This is Richie
States.
the bus driver. Go see Dr. Gupta.
Just like whatever device you're watching me on here on YouTube, that was probably made in China too. So what's your point?
Just because you're getting older doesn't mean you have to be at the biostation in West Irving. Dr. Mitch Cortez, an expert
Scott from CutMyKilowatts.com. I'm back. Dog days of summer are upon us. Your AC is struggling, running constantly, trying to hold the temperature, maybe even failing late afternoon. Your electric bill has gone up, even double. Radiant Barrier is the cure. Stop the heat gain, lowering the temperature in your attic up to 40 degrees, cutting the FPL bills up to 40%. Dog days of summer sale. Save 50% on Radiant Barrier and insulation. Insulation removal, rat proofing, and we even do AC ducts in the heat of summer. Act now and get $500 off Radiant Barrier jobs over 2,000 square feet and $1,000 off barrier jobs over 4,000 square feet, plus a 30% federal tax credit. So call now, 954-939-1500. That's 954-939-1500. 954-939-1500 or CutMyKilowatts.com. Estimates given on the phone, work done in days, not weeks. Easier than ordering a pizza.
Now back to the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig. Listen in the Palm Beaches on 95.9 FM, the Treasure Coast on 106.9 FM, hear us in Boca on 95.3 FM, Fort Lauderdale on 96.9 FM, and anywhere in the world at TrueOldiesFLA.com.
All righty, we're back. Calls on hold, stand by. Our number 1-888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Brad. Chris.
Hey, Chris. What's up?
How's it going today? Well, I'm so glad you mentioned the fact that, this all-inclusive Democrat Party is aiding and abetting those who have been wanting to tear the country down since its inception. They're very jealous of the how can we say, the Industrial Revolution, America being self-sufficient, independent, everyone from England, France, and Mexico. And, the history that used to be taught in schools, that's, out the window, is very telling. And even if some of these numbnuts even watch movies such as National Treasure, you'll see, why they've been calling at us tooth and nail because we're king of the hill. And so our American dollar and everything else, we just set the world standard all over. And as much as they need us like Canada, they have the nerve to bite the hand that feeds them. But this is ongoing, and a lot of these people, I've always said since the Marine Corps, and I found that out.
Well, yeah, finish up, Chris. Yeah, go ahead.
It's not unusual to find people from all over the world, not just living here, but in our government, in our teaching, in our schools, and they're...
Well, they hate America. Well, here's the thing, all right? This idiot prime minister and Canada and these Democrats, they're making a big mistake, okay? What they're telling themselves is, well, President Trump only has this term, and that's it. So they don't care. But what they don't understand is there's been a major reset in this country with the American people. And the American people's expectation from our government is not what it used to be. And, the next president may not be President Trump, but it's going to be a MAGA president who gets elected by MAGA voters. And those voters are going to have expectations to continue what's going on here. So, this attitude that they're doing, that they're biding their time, is very self-destructive.
Well, absolutely, and it's brilliant. And by design, President Trump is leading the way, and we should be okay for a long time. We're going to stop this flip-flopping. One White House term is Democrats, one White House term is Republicans trying to clean up the mess. But now President Trump says, listen, I know there's Republicans in name only, there's a swamp that we have to drain and all that. So that's why they're all clawing, fighting tooth and nail, because they want business as usual. Business as usual is going to put this country underneath it. If it wasn't for President Trump, we'd have no more America.
Yeah, that's exactly right. All right, Chris, good to talk to you. Thanks for the call. A couple of the other things that they're making very big mistakes in. One of them is yesterday, their opposition, just knee-jerk opposition to all those signs that President Trump put up. And those were put up for the first 100 days. This is, now that, the signs of the illegals they arrested, which were very violent ones. And I hope they do that through the rest of the term and just update the signs. They could almost do it daily. And you know what it kind of reminded me of? Is when I saw those signs of all those violent, murdering illegals in front of the White House yesterday, it reminded me of when they had the yellow ribbons and flags for the American hostages in Iran. it was the last time, that was the last time I saw like an event at the White House where something was on display that actually made a statement. And that made a very strong statement. And it's not an accident that they put it up right behind where the press report's from. But this is MSNBC's, this was their immediate reaction to the signs.
House has put up about 100 posters of what they say are unauthorized immigrants who have been arrested for violent crimes. You can see them there. They put them up on the driveway of the White House. If you look here, that's the West Wing just at the forefront.
You know, and the first one that they're showing, it says sexual assault on a child is the first one. Arrested, got the mugshot, and it says sexual assault on a child. These photographs were of, and signs are of the people that have committed the most horrific crimes that humans can commit. Rape of children, murder. I mean, these are the worst of the worst, right? And immediately you hear the Democrats defending them.
Has put up about 100 posters of what they say are unauthorized immigrants who have been arrested for violent crimes. You can see them there. They put them up on the driveway of the White House. If you look here, that's the West Wing just at the forefront, the executive mansion itself to the left. But what's particularly noteworthy about this location is it is right directly behind the positions where TV correspondents do their hits from the White House lawn. So therefore, no matter what network you're on, that includes MSNBC, if you're doing a hit from the White House right now, those pictures will be behind you. The White House briefing in about a half hour about what they're doing here.
Okay, and you know, obviously, the way the cameras work, it blurs out what's behind them. That's how the cameras work, okay? So some of them that are blurred out aren't being blurred out on purpose. They always blur out what's behind them a little bit. That's just the way they set up. But the signs are there. And what do you see the news doing? Instead of reporting the news, they're trying to hide the news behind them of what may be Trump's greatest accomplishment of his first 100 days, getting these rapists and murderers out of our country, arresting, getting them out of our country. They don't want you to know. They want you to think that he hasn't done what he promised. This is what he ran on doing. Now, I want to tell you guys about, of course, Dr. Philip Appleton and his laser wave pain treatment that I know so many of you have taken advantage of. Anytime I stop by Dr. Appleton's office, it's like I'm doing a personal appearance. The lobby's filled with listeners, and it's awesome to see so many of you taking my advice and ridding yourself of pain with Dr. Appleton and his laser wave pain treatment. It works on every type of pain I've ever heard of. Arthritis, bursitis, work injuries, sports injuries, strains and sprains, post-surgical swelling, repetitive motion injuries, neck and back injuries, knee conditions, tinnitus, sciatica, spinal stenosis, plantar fasciitis, fibromyalgia, herniated disc. It goes on. And he's rid me of pain 7 times. It works. Not only does his laser wave pain treatment rid you of your pain, it repairs the damage in your body that's causing the pain. That's why the 7 times that he's rid me of pain, it hasn't returned, because Dr. Appleton repaired the damage in my body causing the pain. There's no shots, no injections, no drugs, no surgery, no downtime, and no appointment necessary, even on Saturdays. Give Dr. Appleton a call and do what I've done 7 times. Say bye-bye to your pain. 954-973-0710. Oh, by the way, if you have been in a car accident or had an injury, go see him too. It works with that too, okay? 954-973-0710. 954-973-0710. And online, AppletonCairo.com. If you're on hold, hang in there. We'll be right back. Oh.
It's the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig.
Hey, it's Scott.
Cloudy 77 degrees, and later on this morning we should expect some breeze and sunshine along with a couple of thunder showers with a high of 81 degrees, and this evening expect some breeze and a partly cloudy low of 72 degrees, while tomorrow's going to be a partly sunny and breezy high of 82 degrees, while tomorrow evening we should expect some clouds and a breeze with a low of 74 degrees.
And now, a True Oldies traffic check. Brought to you by the Palm Beach Kennel Club.
Palm Beach Lakes Boulevard, there's an accident at Spencer Drive. North Lake Boulevard, a collision at Ibis Boulevard. On the Turnpike northbound, an earlier crash at Okeechobee Boulevard, now on the right shoulder. Spot something on the road, stop the traffic tip line, pound 250, keyword west.
Traffic, a service.
I think so. I'm sure I'll hear from him first. It might not be till the 6th. Something like that sounds familiar.
Which I was thinking, I think was it the week after? I think 6 is the next week.
Yeah. I'm not sure offhand. I didn't write it down when I talked to him. I should have.
in promotion payouts. Poker at PBKC. Go to our website, pbkennelclub.com. Attention, true oldies listeners. By popular demand, Sloman's is bringing back their unbeatable offer. How would you like to spring into the season with a free doorbell camera? Yes, you heard that right. You get a doorbell camera, and you get a doorbell camera. Everybody gets a doorbell camera. That's right. The first 40 callers who dial 1-833-283-5050 can unlock this limited time offer, featuring a free doorbell camera that connects directly to your smartphone, complete with professional installation of your Sloman Shield. But wait,
You're on hold. Hang in there, guys.
activate our low-cost central station monitoring. You'll also receive a free customized home security system, along with professional installation. Your new security system includes a high-tech LED touchscreen, a motion detector, 10 contacts, a lifetime warranty, and a backup battery. Don't miss out. Be one of the first 40 True Oldies listeners to call 1-833-283-5050 to claim your free doorbell camera with Sloman Shield installation. That's 1-833-283-5050. Call now.
This is Mark Laporta, son of Tom Laporta, and proud second-generation owner of Laporta Roofing.
Wow.
As a military veteran who served in the Army after 9/11, I brought the same dedication and discipline to our family business. At Laporta Roofing, we've been serving our community for nearly 4 decades, and we're committed to continuing that legacy of excellence. Our team specializes in all types of roofing systems, from shingles to tile, slate, metal, and flat roofs. We're the go-to experts for single-family homes, HOA communities.
Because he has a second job working for Amazon.
Cards are unwavering commitment to customer satisfaction. I've personally implemented systems to ensure you receive the best in customer service and workmanship. Don't miss out on our limited time offer.
Board ops usually have more than one job. When I was a board op, I always had a second job.
4602 or visit us at laportaroofing.com. Trust the experts who have been protecting homes like yours for generations. Again, that number is 954-604-4602.
Now, back to the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig, celebrating 44 years on the air.
Alrighty, we are back. I'm Brian to Steve Kane Radio Show. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yes, this is Steve from Staten Island.
All right, Steve, what's up?
Well, just to say on the with the people, raping and all the thing, it's amazing that the Democrats don't get through their thick skull that they got security, they got their guards, and so when the children go out, they're protected by these security guys. The American doesn't have that.
That's right.
Here,
No, they don't care. They don't care. No, they don't. No.
you vote for them, then they care.
Well, not even then. You know, what's happened with the Democrats is they're fed up with the American people. They've been rejected by the American people. They're angry at the people. They don't just hate America, they hate Americans. Because they've been losing these elections, and they feel that Americans haven't done their duty in supporting them.
But they haven't done anything for us to make us one.
That's true.
That's what they have to get through their thick skull.
That's true. All right, appreciate the call from Staten Island. You know, I don't think I mentioned this yesterday, but, I wanted to talk about the Christy Nome purse snatching. They've arrested 2 suspects. Both of them are illegals. And I know some of you will say, because I got it, as soon as the first story hit the news, Steve called me. And he's like, oh, there goes your theory about the deep state. Not at all. Just because these purse snatchers that they arrested are 2 illegals does not change my theory about the Christy Nome purse snatching at all. You can get and one of them, the first one they said was homeless, didn't they? And part of a purse snatching ring. You can pay a homeless person a few dollars and they'll do anything for you. You know, I remember in high school, and I wonder if any of you have done this, right? When you're underage and you want to buy beer, what do you do? What do you do? You want to buy beer, you're underage, what do you do? You go to a gas station that has a convenience store and you find a homeless guy and you buy 2 6-packs or 2 12-packs, one for you and your friends and one for him. They'll do it every time, right? So no, I still stand by my theory that there was some type of op behind the Christy Nome purse snatching, trying to get her phone. We haven't heard any details on whether they got her phone or not. I don't think they did, but they were going for it. And notice the Secret Service have video and photographs of these guys, and they haven't released it to us. Why haven't they released it to the public? It's not just because it's a security failing. Usually you get video of these things. We're not seeing it. And the idea that this guy, the guy that went in and took the purse, had an N95 mask on, which you can't even breathe in. I mean, those things are like, you know, it's like trying to breathe through drywall. So the idea that a guy wearing an N95 mask and dark clothing goes into a restaurant with the Secret Service protecting a cabinet member, sits down at a table by himself, and then reaches his foot over and grabs the purse. It's not believable to me. It's not believable to me. And in fact, the fact that they're illegals, the 2 guys they arrested, I think further backs up, in my view, that it was some type of op, because she's in charge of rounding up all the illegals, and it's kind of like sticks it to her that an illegal did this. That's how I look at it. Now, we're never going to know, okay, because obviously they're disappearing the story. They're giving us very little details, just like in Butler. It's been a week and a half almost, and we got nothing. I'm surprised they got the arrest. But no, just because they're illegals and one of them's homeless does not change my theory at all. You know, you go, it wasn't that long ago, and everywhere you go, people would be in N95 masks. But not today. It's very rare, unless you're Louise, the mask lady. But other than that, I mean, how often do you see people going around in N95 masks? You know, right around the lockdown, shutdown times, when that time was kind of over, but still with us a little bit, they tried to bring back America's Most Wanted. Remember this? And I remember they had new cases, and they would show these cases, and these people would do crimes. They were wearing masks, right? Surgical mask, N95 mask, the surgical mask, because everybody was still wearing masks then, and you couldn't ID them with the facial recognition software. So a guy comes in where there's federal agents protecting a cabinet member, and he's wearing a mask, and he can't be identified in the facial recognition software. That's just not credible to me. It's not credible. I'm sorry. So no, I have not changed my opinion on that, and maybe I'm the only one. Maybe everybody else is distancing themselves from that. But there's something about that stinks. There's a big push to try to get Trump to fire someone in his cabinet, and it's not going to happen. You know, Pete Hegseth is their main target because I guess they can find things. You know, yesterday a story came out about Pete Hegseth that they gave him the information on how many U.S. service personnel are overweight, in particular in the reserves. And I remember a year or two ago, I was at the Starbucks before, right down the street from the radio station before the show, and there was a guy there that was a sergeant, and it was a Thursday or a Friday. He looked like a reservist, and he was overweight. I had never seen a soldier overweight before. And with this new report that's going on, it's the new normal. So what's he going to do? He's going to make them train hard and lose the weight. You can't have overweight people in the military. They're not physically fit to do the jobs that have to be done. And, you know, Pete Hegseth, they're after him first because, you know, the Defense Department's where, you know, they get a lot of their stuff from. But the main reason is because they got that false allegation about him in California and a couple other things. And they obviously had some cooperating leakers around Pete Hegseth that were helping them. And if you notice, since they fired the leakers, and they may be facing criminal charges, some of them, since they fired the leakers last week, we haven't heard too much negative about Pete Hegseth. So what was coming out about Pete Hegseth was coming out from those leakers who were sabotaging him with the press. So they're going to have to move on to someone else. But even, you know, I don't think Trump will fire someone even if there was a scandal, because he doesn't want to, not that there are any scandals with these people, but not because he doesn't want to give it to the other side, that there's something wrong. And the main problem that the opposition have for Trump right now is that, one, he's incredibly popular. There was yesterday, Larry Kudlow said he had a poll, he was talking about 80% of Americans support the deportations. And he's got a very loyal cabinet where there are no leakers. They're locked in unison on their support and loyalty to President Trump and the MAGA movement, and they're incredibly competent. And they're doing things that are common sense things that are popular. You know, and so far as the tariffs, President Trump said on Sunday that he's talking about eliminating the income tax completely through the tariffs, at least on those. And if you remember when that story first came out, they said that his plan was to eliminate income tax on those making $150,000. President Trump said on Sunday, eliminating income tax on those who make under $200,000. So they've already gone up 50. The popularity of Trump's through the roof, but when these tax cuts come, it's going to shoot up further. And this elimination of the income tax for people that make under $200,000, which, by the way, that's like 97% of the country. Maybe even a little bit more when you get up to that 200,000 number. But it's at least 97% of the country make under 200,000. So that's virtually everyone. So when he comes out and tells ending the income tax will either be a midterm issue or the next presidential election issue. When you have our next presidential candidate with President Trump saying, vote for me, we are going to eliminate income tax for 97% of the American people, how are the left going to run against that? It's an impossible thing to run against. Now, I want to tell you guys about Tom Laporta at Laporta. You know, the rainy season's a little late, but it's going to be coming soon, and it's going to be coming down hard when it rains. You know, if you've got a wet spot on your ceiling, you've got a leak in your roof. Once you have that first wet spot, you want to call Tom Laporta at Laporta Roofing, because you may just need a simple repair. If you ignore it, that little leak's going to become a medium leak, and then it's going to become a bigger leak, and then the next thing you know, it's going to become a big problem for you where you need an entire roof. Maybe you need a roof, maybe you don't. Call Tom Laporta. He'll do a free evaluation and let you know. But when you see that first wet spot, that's when you call. All right? Now, Tom Laporta covers both the east and west coast of Florida and everywhere in between. And he's not just a roofer, he's also a contractor. And under Florida law, he's allowed to deal directly with your insurance company on the cost of the repair or the replacement of your roof. He handles every type of roofing job, residential, commercial, even municipal, works with every type of roofing material, and he can handle the job of any size, whether it's your single-family home or an HOA with 350 units, he can handle it. Give him a call. Now, this number rings directly to Tom Laporta's cell phone, 954-604-4602. 954-604-4602. You can call or text 954-604-4602. And online, LaportaRoofing.com. We'll be right back.
The Hard Truth. Delivered morning 6 to 9 right here on The Steve Kane Show.
Hi, it's Brian Craig. Let me ask you this. Are you planning on retiring in the next 6 months, 12 months, 2 years, at any point in your life? Or are you already retired? Listen, economically, it's a mess with the stock market ups and downs and inflation out of control. In fact, it's the highest inflation rate in 40 years. You need a plan of action for your retirement plans. You need the advice of a retirement expert who can help you protect your money, guarantee your income, and stop losing money. Joe Thomas is president of Retirement Network Advisors, South Florida's premier retirement experts, and has been for over 20 years. He's seen it all and is a true professional that you can trust. They're family owned and operated. His daughter Jenny works with him. You know Joe and Jenny from right here on True Oldies. He's the host of the Jupiter Joe Morning Show, and he's been doing that for over a decade. You need Jupiter Joe's book, The Retirement Know-It-All. Mention my name, Brian Craig, and receive a free copy of his ebook. Go to jupiterjoe.com or call 561-743-0999. That's 561-743-0999. Take advantage of his free phone consultation too. Go to jupiterjoe.com or call 561-743-0999.
This is Steve Kane. I want to tell you about my favorite restaurant in all of South Florida, Wings Plus in Coral Springs. Wings just the way you like them. Plump, tender, and delicious, crispy on the outside, succulent on the inside, everything homemade, nothing comes out of a can. Dozens of specialty sauces that will make your mouth water. Wings Plus, located in Coral Springs, a mile west of University on the south side of Sample Road.
We're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Mr. Boyne, I just received my 7th and 8th set of Mike Lindell sheets. This time we got flannel ones, which we had never had. I got one for my husband for Christmas. He loves it. Oh my God. And especially with the cold days and nights we've been having the last few months in Florida. I got 2 more. I send them to my friends for Christmas now, and they just love them. Absolutely love them.
Yeah, I have the flannels too. You know, like Goldilocks. They keep you the same temperature all night long.
Yes. So, perfect. The guy just has a great product.
The thing with Mike Lindell sheets, all of them, the fitted sheet at the bottom fits perfectly on the mattress. Every other sheet, you can't get the 4 corners on. And it's almost impossible. Even after having them for years and washing them, I don't know how many times, they still fit perfectly.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
You're probably going to be on the next My Pillow commercial, just so you know, okay? Because
okay.
Okay, just to let you know. You heard Lynn from Boynton. She loves her My Pillow sheets. Order yours right now at a huge discount. Use our promo code KANE, K-A-N-E, at checkout at mypillow.com. Makes no sense.
We take on the social justice warriors for breakfast. Now the Steve Kane Show on the air.
All right. We're back. I'm Brian, the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. Our number is toll free, 1-888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. A toll-free call, no matter where you are listening. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, good morning, my friend.
Oh, hey, Richie.
This is Richie. All right, Tom Holman yesterday. I got to tell you something. That was some press conference. But did you watch it, the whole thing at the end, or did you just watch clips?
I probably saw 3/4 of it.
Okay, the best thing of all was at the end when he asked to come back to make an address to the illegals. He said, did you see that part of it?
Yeah, I did. We're coming for you. Yeah, we're coming for you. Yeah, yes, we're looking for you. We're coming for you.
If you don't register, and that doesn't include just MS-13. That's all of them here that are not here with legal. If you don't register and we do catch you, you're out of here and you'll never come back again. I mean, and he started reading those laws off. I said to myself, man, there are people that are in this country 30 years already. I mean, he made one big blanket statement. You're out of here if you don't register. He says, work with ICE, register with ICE, and then self-deport. You have to, if you're not registered, there's no question.
See, now this is, they've got this first bill that's coming, the big, beautiful one. And a lot of these, everything's going well, but a lot of it's through executive orders. And the executive orders won't carry over when there's a Democrat in office. They can just reverse them. So, you know, President Trump was talking about this over the weekend. They've got to get some of these executive orders into these bills and made law, you know, like this as an example, because what they'll do.
The law, by the way.
Yeah, but the next president will overturn all of this and order them not to. They have to codify that word. Yes, exactly. They have to really get those executive orders made into, well, like I remember when George W. Bush was sworn in the first time, as soon as he took the oath, he sat down on the Capitol steps and rescinded over 160 Bill Clinton executive orders. It was a big deal because he'd been running on that. I don't remember what the orders were for, but because it's been so long. And that's a big thing. And so we got to get these things made into law to keep this going.
Yeah, they go after President Trump for everything. I mean, they're so disgusting. They even made a statement. They criticized that he wore a blue suit at the funeral of the Pope. Now, to me, I mean, he should have worn black, they think. But so did Biden. He wore a blue suit too. But this is totally.
Well, the reason that Trump wore the blue suit and not a black suit, which is, first of all, that just tells you how petty they are, right? Because, you know, even the prince was wearing blue, and everybody's wearing. President Trump's suits are not normal suits. They're Kevlar lined, and he's wearing body armor. Okay, and if you notice, he wears mostly all blue suits. I bet you they don't have a black suit that's got the Kevlar lining and everything in it. Only the blue suits. I bet you that's why he wore the blue suit. Melania was wearing black and the veil and everything. That's why. He's got to wear body armor. He's out in the open.
Oh, buddy, and you've been there. Pirates of the Caribbean. Just anybody that wants to know what the Democratic Party is, just take a ride in Pirates of the Caribbean at Disney World.
Okay, all right, whatever that means. I appreciate the call, Rich. I don't know exactly what that means. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, it's the law, Lake Worth. How you doing?
All right, Lake Worth.
So, yeah, my lady, she's illegal, and we had a baby on the way. 3 more months here, and well, they're worried she's gonna be deported.
Yeah.
You know, it is what it is. She entered illegally, and
Your girlfriend or wife? Your girlfriend is illegal. From where?
from Mexico, eh? Where we are.
Well, wait. Are you pulling my leg? Are you a MAGA guy, has a Mexican girlfriend who's pregnant and she's illegal? Is that true, or are you just pulling my leg?
Yes, 100% true.
So what? Okay, so when she has the baby, you know, what are you gonna? And she gets deported. What are you gonna do? Send the baby with her to Mexico, or take the baby in here in Lake Worth?
So that's the dilemma. That's a tough one there. But God, you know, I really don't know. As long as he's born here, it's a boy. We're gonna name him Dean. But as long as he's born here, he's gonna have his papers right off the bat. So, you know, God, it's a tough.
How long's your girlfriend been here? Your illegal girlfriend? 4 years.
Yeah, we were living in Washington State. She was making almost $30 an hour painting, interior painting.
Under the table?
No. She paid her taxes.
How she pay? If she's illegal, how does she pay taxes? She doesn't have a social security number.
Yeah, so she has a fake.
Come on, it's a real fake one.
It looks real, but they're random numbers. Yeah, so she was paying her taxes. You know, she filed her taxes this year and got $1,000 back.
Come on, this cannot be real. Are you pulling my leg?
I am not pulling your leg. And she's got a driver's license too. You know, it was a sanctuary state. I don't know if it still is.
You know, you are confessing to all kinds of crimes here. I mean, you're a party to her crimes, right?
Unfortunately, so.
Why don't you have her register? Because if she gets deported, she'll never be able to return. Or maybe you don't want her to return. Do you want her deported?
I mean, at this point, I don't know if she could return being illegal. I mean, You know, I mean,
Let me ask you, how did she get here from Mexico? How'd she get here? She walked? I don't know. Is this guy for real? I don't know. This sounds like, so she walked into the country. How did she know where to get a fake Social Security card?
yeah, this is a common story right here. A lot of people have the same story. She, you know, everybody knows somebody. So her sister is legal. She's got 2 children when she crossed the border, so she was able to claim asylum. My old lady didn't have any children at the time, so she couldn't claim asylum. But so long story short, you know, even her sister has a meeting with ICE right now, and everybody's afraid because anybody who's got a meeting with ICE are being deported.
Oh my goodness!
The word on the street, even with asylum. So it, you know.
Now let me ask you. Okay, your pregnant girlfriend is MAGA. How can you be MAGA and be sleeping with an illegal from Mexico? Come on.
I don't think she's very MAGA. But,
No, you said you're MAGA. If what you're telling me is true, which I suspect, but you say you're a Trump person, you're MAGA, but you're living with an illegal Mexican that you got pregnant.
It's a position to be in.
Why would you? Why? Yeah, it seems to be a conflict.
Yeah. Well, you know, we lived in Washington, no issues, and moved back home here to South Florida, and you know, Trump came into office. Which,
Why haven't you married her?
well, at this point, it's like just stay in the house and don't leave.
Okay, I think that whole story is BS. I think it's total BS. I don't buy that story at all. I mean, I could play it up, but I don't. Do you guys believe that guy? I don't believe that. I can't continue that. Have a conversation with one of our cosplay callers that MAGA. He's MAGA, but he's living with an illegal from Mexico that he got pregnant, and her whole family's illegal. I just don't know. It's too in Lake Worth, and she's got a fake Social Security card and got a tax refund. I mean, it's too perfect. I don't buy that. But I do want to ask you this. Do you or someone you know suffer from neuropathy? If you're suffering with neuropathy, I don't have to tell you, it is living torture. And, Steve, he not only had neuropathy, he had all the symptoms. Numbness, pain, burning, tingling in the hands and feet, dizziness, the feeling of pins and needles in the hands and feet, sometimes having no feeling at all. And it was unbearable. He couldn't get out of bed. And we found Lighthouse Medical in Pompano. They have a treatment for neuropathy that works, which is amazing. Steve was seeing a reduction in his symptoms like the next day. But we also found, just because it's been 2.5 years since he had his treatment, that not only does the treatment at Lighthouse Medical rid you of your neuropathy symptoms, it lasts, because over 2.5 years later, Steve's neuropathy symptoms have not returned. That's amazing. And, they can help you no matter where you are located. Not just here in South Florida, no matter where you're located in the United States. Give them a call. Now, when you call, make sure you tell them you heard about them on the Steve Kane Show, because then you can take advantage of their no-charge consultation. 754-222-6642. 754-222-6642. That's 754-222-6642. And online, lighthousemedicalcenter.com. All right, if you're on hold, hang in there. We have less than a minute until our top of the hour break, so we don't have time for a call. So if you hang in there, we'll go to the phones after the break. Our number is 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. You can let me know if you think that last caller, I think that last caller was pulling my leg. I don't believe any of that story. It was just too much. He poured it on a little too thick, don't you think? The being MAGA on top of it. But then again, you never know. You never know. Maybe she's super hot and he can overlook the legal status. I don't know. All right, 2 hours down, 1 to go. You're listening to the Steve Kane Show. My name is Brian Craig. This is Florida's longest running radio show, on the radio since 1977, celebrating 48 years on the radio. We'll be right back after this break.
WSFS 104.3 HD3 Miramar, WIRK 103.1 HD3 Indiantown, and heard in Broward on 96.9 FM, Boca Raton on 95.3 FM, West Palm Beach on 95.9 FM, and in Martin County on 106.9 FM. Programming paid for by Vic Canales Media Group. Your home for the Steve Kane Show. Now, here's the True Oldies weather forecast.
Your current weather is a mostly cloudy 77 degrees, and later on this morning we should expect some breeze and sunshine along with a couple of thunder showers with a high of 81 degrees, and this evening we expect some breeze and a partly cloudy low of 72 degrees, while tomorrow's going to be a partly sunny...
Hey, hold on. Yeah, okay, hold on a second.
82 degrees, while tomorrow evening we
All
should
right.
expect some
Yep, you there?
and a breeze with a low of
Okay, hold on.
And now, a True Oldies traffic check. Brought to you by the Palm Beach Kennel Club.
On the turnpike, there's a crash northbound at Lake Worth Road, and northbound there's a backup at Beeline Highway. Spot something on the roads, call the traffic tip line, pound 250 keyword westbound traffic. I'm Ron Hersey.
Traffic, a service of the Palm Beach Kennel Club. This Saturday, make plans to be a part of the fun and excitement at PBKC to watch, wager, and win on the Kentucky Derby. Enjoy delicious barbecue, music, Derby hat contest, mint juleps, paddock buffet, and more. PBKC is the only place to play in Palm Beach County. Plus, the Poker Room has amazing daily and progressive high hands, moneymaker tour tournaments, and table game action. Don't miss the Kentucky Derby this Saturday at PBKC. Go to our website at pbkennelclub.com.
When you need lab work, don't waste hours and hours waiting at the doctor's office or one of those big labs. Go to any lab test now in Boca and any lab test now in Coral Springs. Their prices are guaranteed to be the lowest you'll find anywhere. No appointment, doctor's order, or prescription is needed, and you're in and out in 15 minutes or less. They offer every lab and blood work your doctor can order. They even have drug testing and STD testing. Take control of your health care and visit any lab test now in Boca and any lab test now in Coral Springs. There's lots of any lab test nows around, but these are the only two advertising on our radio station. So don't use the rest. Only go to any lab test now in Boca and any lab test now in Coral Springs. And make sure you tell them you heard about them on the radio.
Do you suffer from neuropathy? I did, until I went to Lighthouse Medical Center in Pompano. Numbness, pain, burning, tingling in my hands and feet, muscle weakness, loss of balance, muscle twitching have all but disappeared. Say goodbye to your neuropathy symptoms. Call Lighthouse Medical Center for a free consultation. 754-222-6642.
Have you put off buying new tires because you thought they were too expensive? Find friendly prices at Friendly Tire in Margate on both new and used tires. New tires as low as $70 a tire. That's out the door and on the road, because Friendly Tire doesn't charge you to balance the tire or mount the tire. They have thousands of used tires in stock too, starting at just $30. Call for a quote right over the phone. 954-977-9445. 954-977-9445.
On the air since 1977, it's the Steve Kane Show.
All righty, the third hour has begun. Steve Kane joining us. Hey, Steve. Oh, I'm doing well. It is Trump's 100th day of his second term, and I've just kind of been celebrating everything going on with that, which is very exciting.
Definitely not.
I mean, come on. Or just the whole thing was fake, you know. I mean, that was, you know, come on. I couldn't prolong that any longer than I did.
Give you my feedback on what I see going on here. There are two separate, distinctly different and separate stories going on simultaneously. One is with the Democrats and one is with the Republicans. And what's going on with the Democrats is amazing, although you have to carve through a lot of crap to figure it out. But the Democrats, as I see it, as watching the television show with Rachel Maddow and that whole liberal gang over there, the Democratic Party is pretty well disbanded. They had a lot of events over the last weekend, and nobody showed up, and yet they should. There were demonstrations throughout Washington One organization has collapsed is what I'm saying.
Well, a lot of it is, well, because Trump's so popular, but a big part of it. No, the one on the Capitol step, the Cory Booker thing that was embarrassing. That was bad.
Around the country. Well, it was pathetic. I almost felt bad.
Well, you know what, Ed? I'll tell you what the cause of that is. Because Elon Musk shut down USAID, they don't have the money to pay the seat fillers that they used to have. That's exactly it.
If they either don't have the money or they've chosen as the organization, the overall Democratic Party has chosen not to do any spending at this point in time.
Well, they're not going to spend their own money.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. No, the USAID was paying for all of those fake crowds and everything. They should. That's why, if you remember, in the first campaign of Trump's, he was doing multiple rallies a day, 50 to 100,000, and you would hear people like the hags on The View say, "Oh, these people are paid to go there." The reason they said that is because that's what the Democrats do. They pay people to go to their events. And in fact, this AOC Bernie Sanders tour, there have been people that have said that they've been the same people in the audience in different cities around the country. Like they've got an audience cast and they just move them around from city to city.
But what's interesting to see here, and this backs up something I've been observing for a long time, Trump is holding back here. Of course, they have a big event. His poll numbers, we talked about them yesterday, predictably are flagging because he needs some closes, is what he needs. And he's saving them all, he's gathering them, like flowers in a basket, to have a major event where he announces all of this is my theory. I don't have anything factual to back this up, but this is my intuition, that basically they're saving up for one big announcement, and it's going to be an event that's going to pull all the numbers together when it happens.
Yeah.
They don't want to release it piecemeal. I mean, that's the feeling I have. You agree with that?
I think that there's building up to a few big things. I think they're building up to big announcements on the tariffs, because if did you see the world leaders at the Pope's funeral were climbing over each other to get the Trump to kiss his butt, when he got there, and I think they're building up for some big arrests too, with from the Justice Department, like those judges. I think they're building up to a big arrest or two. Yeah. What people don't understand, Trump's greatest skill is his ability to market. His ability
to choose the right people.
That's right. You want to take some calls? All right, let's, I've lost track of the order, so I'm just, so sorry guys. You might have called in 10 seconds ago or 35, I don't know how long ago. I've lost track. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air. Once. Oh, you just made it.
Yeah, coastal weight loss.
Okay, now this is the same guy from yesterday. We don't talk about sponsors, but we're coming up on coastal weight loss. My daughter flew into town yesterday, Steve, and it's the first time she's on her way back to California now, but she flew in yesterday, and I don't know yet. We'll see, but it was the first time my daughter had seen me since I lost all this weight. And I picked her up at the Fort Lauderdale airport, and she said, "Where's the rest of my dad?" Because I lost so much weight. She hadn't seen. I know, it's pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. But let me grab the number for Coastal Weight Loss Secret. And I want to highlight to you guys, not only have I lost over 35 pounds, I have done 0 exercise, which it's amazing. 0 exercise. Can you see me exercise? 0 exercise. I'm eating foods I would normally eat, Wings Plus, Chipotle, places like that. And I'm not taking any prescription medications like Ozempic. Okay? Give Coastal Weight Loss Secret a call. And maybe, I lost over 35 pounds. I lost 25 pounds in about a month. Maybe you want to lose 50, 100, 150, even more, or maybe even less than I've lost. Maybe you want to lose 20 pounds. They can help you. 561-247-6300. When you call, make sure you tell them you heard about them on the True Oldies channel. 561-247-6300. That's 561-247-6300. And online, coastalweightlossecret.com. All right, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Aaron from Deerfield Beach.
Uh-huh.
Regarding what you said about Michelle Obama, she was complaining that her brother was profiled and pulled over at 12 years old. What's he doing driving at 12 years old?
I don't know the story, and I don't know if he was driving. You know what I mean? So I don't know if he was on a bicycle or walking. I didn't hear the beginning of the story. But if you have you seen her brother?
No.
He's a weird looking guy. I mean, he looks like a drag queen. Is what he looks like. I don't know. Maybe he is a drag queen. I don't know. But he's. Well, Michelle Obama said yesterday that she doesn't sleep at night because of all the deportations. And what I was talking about is her husband, Barack, deported, I think it was 6 million illegals. Because I remember at the time talking about, that's the same number of Jews that Hitler killed, right? So that's why that number is kind of burned in my brain. I wonder if she was up all night in the White House when her husband deported 6 million illegals, which is more than Trump's deported, I think, at this point.
Yeah, she's such a phony. Even my friends, my black friends, they don't want to hear about her and her discrimination when she was the wife of a president. They're all working hard and they're throwing out the race card when they shouldn't be. It really is discriminating against. It's like the boy who cried wolf.
Well, you know what it is with Michelle? This is what's going on with Michelle Obama. She launched this podcast and no one's listening to it. So, and which, by the way, it shoots down that whole thing. Oh, you Republicans better watch out. Michelle may run, and then you're done, right? Remember all that? She's not popular. Her own people don't like her. So what she's trying to do is get people to listen to her failing podcast. And so what she's doing is she's using the race card. She's getting into all, the cops harassed her brother, and she knows what it's like growing up being black, and what does that mean? My daughter hasn't faced any discrimination because of her skin color. Has your black daughter faced discrimination, Steve? And your boys are as black as can be. I mean, they're dark, man. Like one of them's like, his parents must be Nigerian or something. He's so dark. All right. Appreciate the call. Thanks so much. All right. We got time. Let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, it's Jack from Sarasota. How's it going, gentlemen?
Okay.
All right. So I remember you bringing up the Pope's funeral. And I know that you've been saying a lot about how Trump was wearing a blue suit and it was bulletproof and everything. Do you remember that?
It's not bulletproof, but he wears body armor. He wears. You never Trumpers shot him in Butler, and then try to do it again at the golf course. So he has to wear body armor when he's out in the open.
On May 24th, 2017, he met with the Pope for the first time. He was wearing a dark suit with body armor.
No, the suits are Kevlar lined, but that was indoors, not outdoors. He was outdoors. He had to wear something special. And also, there were a lot of people wearing blue suits, including Biden and Prince William and a bunch of other people. But I know being a gay man, fashion's very important for you. And if you wear the wrong color, it's like offensive, right?
Wow. You must have a reason for asking that. What's your point?
That's kind of...
what's your point,
why would you change the subject like that? I was going to talk about the tariffs.
You were talking about fashion.
Did you know that the last ship that's coming from China will be on the West Coast today, and the last ship from China will be on the East Coast on May 10th?
Awesome.
Realize that we have about 2 weeks before all the shelves are going to go empty because of Trump's tariffs.
Oh, really? So what should I load up on?
Well,
what are you? Let me ask a better question. What are you loading up on? What are you loading up on?
We depend on.
No. The last ships from China are coming. What are you loading up on so you don't run out?
Let's see. Soap, shampoo.
Oh, how much soap? How much soap and shampoo? How much soap and shampoo have you bought? Like how many bars of soap do you have?
When I can afford it, and unfortunately I'm a working man like most of this country. When I can afford it, I'm going to try to stock up on a little bit more.
Oh, so wait a minute. So you haven't stocked up. Have you stocked up or not?
I can't afford it because I will be paid dividends from the company that I work for on the 1st, and as soon as that happens, I'm going to go out and
Who do you work for?
And I think everyone just needs
Who
to
do you
do the
work
same
for,
thing.
sir?
What kind of job pays dividends? Yeah.
I work for a privately owned company that pays dividends.
What do you do for a living? What do you do for a living?
What I do for a living, I work in retail.
And you get paid in dividends? What does that mean? I don't understand what that means. How do you work retail and get paid in dividends? What does that? Do you know what that means, Steve? I don't understand that.
No, what do you mean?
I don't.
Listen. I don't want to get doxxed by people like.
We're not doxing. You know, these are generic questions. You said I'm not asking specifically where you work. How does people that work retail get paid hourly and maybe a little commission on what they sell maybe? How do you get paid in a dividend?
Answer your question. I get paid hourly, and my specific company is a
What do you
privately owned
do?
company.
He works in retail. So what kind of retail?
They give us stock for every year that we work there, and every 3 months.
Instead of a salary?
I've worked for decades. Some assistant managers do in my dividend.
Oh, okay. So you're gonna and you're gonna sell your stock to buy bars of soap?
And what dividends are?
Don't waste any more time.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, come on. I mean, that's just stupid. That was just stupid. He gets paid in dividends. And stocks. I've never heard anyone. I know people that work in retail where they get stocks, right? You know, or they have the option to buy stocks. Yeah, and they usually say, well, my company gives me stocks, or they allow me to buy stocks real cheap or something. I've never heard somebody, well, I get paid in dividends. What the? I don't know. Maybe I'll order some extra toilet paper. I don't want to go through that again. All right, listen, if you're on hold, hang in there. I'm going to put you on hold, Steve. We're going to take our break and be back.
Don't sit on the sidelines. Get in on the action. Call the Steve Kane Show live on air now. 888-GO-KANE-1. This is the Steve Kane Show with Brian Gregg.
All right, Attorney Barry Siegel from the Siegel Law Group is on the line. Good morning, Attorney Barry Siegel. Good morning. How are you today? I'm doing well. What do you have for us this morning? That's right, and the Siegel Law Group, no matter where you're located,
Wow.
Fort Lauderdale on 96.9 FM and anywhere in the world at True.
All right, we are back. I'm Brian. Steve Kane is here. I mean, my goodness. We've had 2 callers in the last 20, 30 minutes that have just told bold-faced lies. They're not even good lies. I mean, I like when I don't mind if they lie, but challenge us a little bit. Oh, my goodness. I mean, gee whiz. Well, let's take another call or two, and then I'll share some other thoughts. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Mm-hmm.
Love your show, love your blogs, and I was just going to say that if Donald J. Trump would put the victims behind the signs of those he's put out saying, this person murdered me, this person raped me, that would just add 100% improvement. Love it. I love his signs. I love what he's doing.
All right. I think what he did with the signs. Did you see the signs, Steve, at the White House? That was genius. And then he put them up right behind where the press do their reporting from, so they're in the backdrop. I mean, that's the best.
Yep.
He knows what he's doing when it comes to press relations. Question.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on the coastal weight loss.
Oh, that's the same guy. I knew it was the same guy. The same guy. All right. Our number 1-888-465-2631. And I'm glad he called in because now I know who he is. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? 1. Yep, you're on the air.
Hello. Hello.
Oh, yes. Oh, this is great, Steve. We're doing great on the phones today, aren't we? Aren't these just high-quality callers? What's on your mind? Oh, my goodness. That's how, see, you know what's going on here is President Trump is doing so well, right, in his first 100 days that the liberals have just come unglued. Every liberal we've talked to today.
Used to having these big turnouts, and so the old joke, suppose you gave a rally and nobody showed up, that's what they're dealing with, and it's for them.
Mm-hmm. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
From Florida.
Ugh.
Oh, yeah. Oh, hey, good morning, Brian, Steve. Hey, let me ask you a quick question. Is it possible the American people could be upset with the fact that Donald Trump has gained millions and millions of dollars in profit while the promises of what he said have been unkept by the man who just wanted to get elected?
First of all, let me
The Ukrainian, hold on. The Ukrainian war is going to
You asked a question. Do you want an answer?
Okay. Obviously, I wasn't done, but go ahead.
Next call. Do you want an answer?
That's fine. I'm alone.
Okay,
Yeah.
then you got to stop talking if you want to listen. All right? It's not that these are promises unkept. This is a work in progress. You're talking about changing the entire financial system of the entire country. It takes time for it to accomplish.
Okay.
You understand?
I understand that. But after, but after this, can you...
Wait, hold on. Let's
okay,
go.
all right, you're not done.
Let me begin by establishing your credibility with the audience. You're not stupid, correct?
No, sir.
Mm.
Now we found something we can agree on. You're a thinking human being. You know how to sort things out and how to figure out problems. You're talking about revamping the entire global financial system. That takes time. You agree, right?
Yes, I do agree. Okay, I do agree.
You expect
Ted Cruz.
Years.
Ted Cruz. Hold on. I understand that. But also, too, walking into the best stock market ever, okay, and also implementing things like a businessman, the artist.
All right, Tom. All right, hold on a second, Tom. Oh, hold on a second. A couple things. First of all, a couple things. The first thing is this, okay? The only people I hear say they're disappointed in Trump's performance are people like you that didn't vote for him or support him. Yeah, so I'm not hearing MAGA people say they're disappointed, and that's the majority of the electorate.
Of course, why would anybody, especially Trump followers, do anything else but support the man? There is no doubt in their minds that he is the Messiah. Just like
Excuse me. I'm gonna put you're not worthy of being put on hold through a break. Are you out of your mind? You got to stop talking though, Tom, you got to stop talking, or we're going to have to let you go. I mean, you got to stop talking. You said President Trump inherited the greatest economy?
I said he inherited the greatest stock market
Ever. So, well, no, but that implies the economy. If the stock market was doing so well, why were you guys telling us about the high price of eggs and groceries? If the economy was doing so well, why was there this massive inflation? You know, the stock market is for rich people.
Okay, if the stock market is for rich people, how come the middleman lost a lot of money and Donald Trump is one of the richest men ever?
I don't know who you're talking about. But if the economy was going so, all right, we gotta let him. He just won't stop talking. Now I want to. No, he's not worthy of me reaching my finger over to that button from that button. You know what I mean? That requires effort, and I don't think Tom is worthy of the effort of me moving my hand. But I do want to tell people about the free doorbell camera offer from Slomin's, which, by the way, you all should get this. I mean, if you don't have it already, you should get it. It's so awesome to have. And of course, it's a part of your home security system, but you know, I use it mainly just for the convenience of it. It's an amazing thing to have. You get a notification. Think about this. You get a notification whenever there's movement in the front of your house, and you can look on your cell phone and see who's there. It's amazing. No matter where you are, you might be at Publix, you might be on your back porch, or you might have been on the cruise with us. It's absolutely amazing. And they're going to give you, Slomin's, a free doorbell camera with the installation of your Slomin Shield. All right, but that's not all. They're also going to give you a free customized home security system and professional installation when you use their low-cost central station monitoring. You get an LED touchscreen, a motion detector, 10 contacts, a lifetime warranty, and a backup battery. Plus, you'll receive a free doorbell camera with the installation of your Slomin Shield. Give them a call right now. 1-833-283-5050. 1-833-283-5050. That's 1-833-283-5050. We'll be right back.
Radio great again. It's the Steve Kane Show with Brian.
Hey, it's Scott on the radio reminding you that your favorite oldies are back on the air.
Okay.
Right after 10 a.m.
No, I trained on it.
Hey, how's it going? How you been? You have anything in particular you want me to bring up?
Yeah, I was just going to talk about option 1, 2, 3. We're going to start talking about some rates, which we never do.
Oh, okay.
I thought it'd be good to talk about rates, and you can just ask me which one, option 1, 2, 3, and I know them pretty well. So you don't get paid in dividends?
No.
That was so funny, man. I was like,
Oh my goodness.
I like this Steve. He's like, yeah, he's getting paid.
Oh my goodness.
That was funny.
Never heard of such a thing.
I know. Oh man.
Oh, I like this 20,000.
Yeah, we can just talk about one of them too. It doesn't have to be all of them. I think each week I'd like to talk about like rates because, and we can talk about anything. I don't care, but you know, I'm just thinking rates might be a good thing for some of these people.
How much money do you put in to get out of here?
That's a $200,000 investment. Yeah, on a 65-year-old.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. So most of the time it's about 7% of the whatever you deposit, roughly. That's our number one seller. Everybody likes that one.
Check out the multi-flight event with a $100,000 guarantee.
Want a cough drop?
No. Thank you.
No problem. I carry them around with me because I always get that. I'm on air and I'm like.
I go through more cough drops than ever, but I don't like that noise they make when I'm on the air. So
Yes.
I gotta suffer.
Yep. So your daughter was in town here, right?
Yeah. She's going on a trip. She flew in to give me her cats to watch. I have so many points on my American Express. I could fly around the world for nothing. So
really,
I never use my points. I just save them and save them.
I turned everything into where you get a check back, and I just got a check for $500. I was like,
oh,
hey, this is cool, you know.
Yeah, my daughter called and she said she wanted to come in and fly. I said, I don't know if I'm going to pay a ticket to fly the cats in. She's like, you got enough points on your American Express, it will cost nothing.
Fly the cats in?
Well, she came with them.
Oh.
She brought them. So I said, okay.
That's why we don't go where because of the dog.
Yeah. I have enough points. I could fly round trip to Europe, first class, and still have points.
Really?
It's not, I didn't realize.
My brother flies all over the place. Like, he's always got these extra points. He's always coming down here. Like, I came for free. I'm like, that's good.
Oh, I didn't even know. My daughter, I give her a card for emergencies.
Yeah.
So she told me. She could see the points.
Yeah. Hey, I'm thinking about that diet program. The secret, what is it called? I forgot
the what?
What diet you're on.
Oh, the coastal weight loss?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, people don't want to hear it. No exercise. I was a little nervous about doing it because when I went there, I thought I was going to leave with a box of food that you don't want to eat, but no, I'm eating.
Good stuff. Huh?
My wife and I eat out every meal. We don't cook at home. You do the same thing?
To go.
Yeah, to go, DoorDash, takeout.
Yeah.
We don't go out. I don't, just, you know.
Yeah, I
but
get it.
when my daughter lived at home, we didn't, but, you know.
So it works.
It works. I mean, I've lost about 36 pounds, 37 pounds. All here and here.
That's why I need to lose it. It's not on my leg.
And my face a little bit, but I lost it where I'm in shock.
Where you want it, huh?
I was really shocked.
How many months is that now?
I've lost track. It was, I started a week after the inauguration, so I guess 100 days.
100 days, 3 months, cool.
All right, and Jupiter Joe Thomas is in studio. We're talking about the coastal weight loss secret and how long you're on. And I remember I started a week after the inauguration, so I've been on it, I guess, 93 days.
I'm going to call him.
Yeah, absolutely. But you know, by the way, you get paid in dividends?
No dividends. I heard that. That was funny.
You know, I was talking earlier, okay, you know, with Canada. I was talking about you with this thing with Canada. They got a new prime minister and he's starting a trade war. 90% of the Canadian economy is based on the United States, which is insane because we always talk about how you want income streams, revenue streams, and Canada has one. And that's not good. You want to have as many income streams as you can, and that's what annuities are all about.
By the way, getting back to tariffs with Trump, he's going to win. There's no question about it. Just so you know. I mean, the guy's, you know, I heard you say he's a great economist. There's no question. He's got the mind of an economist. And he knows what he's doing with this stuff. Maybe it's going to be rocky for a while, and maybe it's going to take 6 to 12 months, but eventually it's going to be a good thing for the United States and us.
All these countries need us, and we buy all their stuff.
Correct, 100%.
I mean, I'm sure there's more BMWs on the roads of America than in Germany.
I never knew how much tariffs there are on a BMW coming in.
It's crazy.
Yeah, and all the Japanese cars and the Chinese cars and everything else. I didn't get it.
You know, a BMW may not be a luxury car if you take away the tariff. You know what I mean? It might be almost an economy car.
True.
You know.
True.
But anyway, you gave me some of your information here, and you were talking to me about these different options people have when it comes to annuities that I guess determines how much income or revenue they get.
Correct.
So tell me a little bit about this, because I mean this is absolutely amazing to me.
So we have a system, option 1, 2, 3, and it's pretty simple. I like to keep things simple, you know, Brian. That's just the way I roll. So option 1 is an income annuity, where if you want to put in a lump sum of money, you're going to get an income stream for the rest of your life. And like you asked me, should it be annual or monthly? Any way you want it, we can send you that check.
Yeah.
And we call it mailbox money. You're getting a check for the rest of your life. And if you pass away, your spouse gets that check for the rest of their life.
Really?
Yeah. And if anything's left, it goes to your kids. Now, if you live a long life, which is longevity, you want this money to last forever, you know, and that's how it works. You know?
It's like generational wealth.
It can be, yes, sir. Yeah.
That's amazing. You know, the thing is, you know, there's this, every day I get calls from people. How's your 401k? I don't have a 401k. I do not invest in the stock market. That doesn't mean I don't invest. I just don't invest in the stock market. And the main reason I don't is I can't live with that anxiety of ups and downs, because I have a lot of friends that have a lot of money in the stock market, and they'll call me and, oh man, I lost $45,000 today or something like that. I'm like, I can't handle that. With annuities, your money doesn't go up or down. You got your income stream for the rest of your life, that revenue stream, but your nest egg is safe.
So my wife came to me about a week ago and said, how are we doing in the market? Because she knows I have half my money in the market and half my money in the annuities. And I want to be diversified. And I said, we haven't lost a dime in the annuities. She says, I knew that.
Yeah.
She said, but how much do we lose in the market? Because that's the most volatile stuff. But you have to realize that the older you are, the safer you want your money.
That's correct.
You know, if you're in your 40s, okay, you can take a chance and you can let it ride in your 401k. But if you're in your 60s and you're going to retire in a year, 2 years, 3 years, you got to think about repositioning it into something a little safer, and that's what these annuities do for you.
Yeah, you don't have time to make up that lost income.
Correct.
And another thing, you know, that I've talked to you about is, you know, a lot of people have, and I know quite a few people that have rental properties.
Yes.
And again, I'm not a financial advisor. You guys call Jupiter Joe Thomas. He offers free phone consultations, which you can take advantage of no matter where you're located, and he'll put together a custom proposal for you. And, you know, I know people that have rental properties, and they have a revenue stream, but it's a hassle. They got the taxes, sometimes they have HOAs, they got to collect.
Yeah.
Then something breaks, they got to fix it. Yeah. To me, an annuity is a much better option. You've got the revenue stream. Yeah. You don't have to collect. You don't have to do any repairs. And you got the money coming in.
So ask anybody that's in their 60s. They know exactly how much money they're going to get from Social Security.
Absolutely.
Okay.
To the penny.
Because it's a guaranteed income stream. Well, guess what an annuity is? A guaranteed income stream. And you're going to know that number to the penny. We did a show, Jenny and I, last week, called To the Penny. You'll know exactly to the penny, just like your Social Security, how much you're getting per month. Like that example there, that's a $250,000 deposit. And guy or girl is going to get $20,000 a year for the rest of their life guaranteed.
Wow.
Now in 10 years, they got back 200 grand. They lived 20 years, they got back 400,000 on a $250,000 investment. And then their wife or their husband gets the balance, or they can take the income stream.
And I don't know, you know, people I'm sure do all kinds of things with the money, maybe pay for the golf membership, you know, or vacations or whatever.
Go to Europe.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's amazing. Listen, give Joe Thomas a call. Again, you can take advantage of this no-charge consultation no matter where you're located, and he'll give you a custom proposal based on your situation. Now, by the way, obviously you can be very wealthy and a high income earner, but don't think that because you're not a high income earner, or maybe you're on a semi-fixed income or something, that annuity, there's an annuity for almost everybody.
Yeah, we have annuities that start at $5,000 and $10,000, Brian. It's no excuse. And listen, it's never too late, no matter how old you think you are. It's never too late, or too young.
Yeah.
I'm getting calls from a lot of 30-year-olds now say, hey, I'm sick of the market. I want to get out. And that's happening with a lot of people. So we have an alternative for you. Give us a buzz.
All right, here's the number, 561-743-0999. 561-743-0999. And if you missed the number, just go to his website, jupiterjoe.com. Can I keep these? Because these are good. All right, all right, take care, Joe. We are back. Steve, you back with us? Okay, let's go back to our phones, all right? You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Hey, Brian.
Hey, Brian. Hi, Steve. How are you? You know, a couple of great points I think were really made on the show today. One, I think Steve actually brought up. Changing the financial system. As it existed, this country was on a path to total financial destruction. And there's no doubt about that. It was enhanced by the prior administration, too. Changing over to a tariff-based system that I believe McKinley had before is going to be amazing for us. The destruction that would happen if our financial system goes down, the rest of the world, I think, follows on the path, too. The second point that was made, that Brian made, was that President Trump was a marketing genius, and he is, no doubt about that. But his ability to get leverage in a negotiation on an international basis, where largely this leverage is coming from his own intellect, is something that I have never seen before. It's amazing to watch.
Well, you know what? You know what? Part of it is this, okay? Like Zelensky and Putin aren't playing ball. So over the weekend, Marco Rubio, who works for President Trump, he's on Meet the Press, and he says, well, they asked him, that Democrat hack on Meet the Press, Kristen Welker, asked, well, the war's not over yet. And and Marco Rubio, who speaks for the president on this, he said, well, right now what we're doing is we're reevaluating whether we should even be involved. You know, because they want, so President Trump is ready to walk away from Ukraine and Russia and let them just take care of it themselves. That's negotiation. That's to scare Zelensky. Yeah. Hold on, Brian. Hold on, Brian. What'd you say, Steve?
The thing you have to understand is every statement the president makes is he negotiates in public. I don't take anything he says very seriously at this point because I understand that everything he says is a move on the chessboard in the process of negotiation.
Yeah, and he's willing to walk away, and that's the power.
That is to his negotiating advantage to create that impression.
Well, look what happened in Ukraine, and this applies to the tariffs, okay? So Sunday, Marco Rubio says, well, we're talking about walking away, which is probably what Trump told Zelensky when he was telling Macron, you shouldn't be here, get out of here. And then look what happened. Yesterday, Zelensky says, okay, we'll take Crimea off the table. Boom. And that's, see what Trump just did? I don't have that skill, or I'd be making more money. But,
I'm not sure anybody has ever had that skill that I've seen, whether they're just in business or in politics, whatever. It's a unique situation. We have a unique leader at a very critical juncture that we're in now. It looked like he was taking Zelensky to school at the Vatican there when they were sitting in the room there by themselves. I would love to hear what was said in that little negotiation.
The thing to notice or to realize is that Putin, it's finally dawned on Don that Putin really doesn't want to end the war.
Yeah.
That limits his next move.
Yeah.
So the next move, obviously, it seems to me, I don't write his material, but it seems to me his next move is to an economic move against Russia.
Yeah, he's going to shut them out totally. I mean, the sanctions aren't total on Russia. Hey, listen, I appreciate the call. All right, let's go. All right, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Yeah, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, this is Cynthia calling from Lake Worth Beach.
Hey, how you doing?
New to listening to your show, and I really love it.
Welcome.
We do. It turns me on in the morning.
Oh, well, that's fancy.
Comment about the last phone call, just very quickly. What you guys were saying, Lee Iacocca was supposed to run for president. He was urged to run for president. And if any of you ever read his biography, he talks about this in the 80s, how the economy of the U.S., which will affect the whole world, was going off a cliff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was really adamant about that, but nobody really listened to him, unfortunately. And he was right.
Well, don't lose your next point. That's a name I haven't heard for a while, Lee Iacocca. I forgot about Lee Iacocca. But, I remember those days. And what they said was, well, he couldn't be president anyway. You can't run the government like a business. Well, that's what Trump's doing, and he seems to be doing a pretty good job.
Oh, yeah. The book is great. You should read it.
All right. Okay.
But I wanted to make a point yesterday because this Steve the Trumper, or Never Trumper, excuse me.
Yes.
He's clearly blinded by hate. He has no capacity for reason, and he's very annoying. But he talked about polls, and you were all talking about polls. I'm in my 50s. I was born in New York City, escaped as an adult to California, which was no better, but it was better 20 years ago. So I was in major cities, and I have never been polled. And now I'm in South Florida, never been polled. I don't know anybody that's ever been polled. I asked my brothers, my cousins, my friends, my colleagues. We keep talking about it. We hear and hear and hear about these polls, but who the heck is this?
Well, I think they make them up most of the time. And Trump has talked about this. How do you know they're even polling people? And there was a scandal. In fact, during this last presidential campaign, there was a lady pollster that was so off, they were talking about that. And I think they don't poll in a lot of instances. I think they just make it up. Especially, not the internal polls that the campaign uses, because we don't see those. They want actual polls so they know. The polls we see in the media, most of them are totally fake. They just fill them in.
Absolutely, but like Steve, the never Trumper, you can't even reason with these people. They're so blinded by hate. It's absolutely...
Well, most people that are Democrats, and this is even before the era of Trump, most people are Democrats because some of dysfunction or immorality that they're involved in. And the Democrat Party, it welcomes their immorality or dysfunction. And I don't know exactly what Steve's is. I have some suspicions on Never Trumper Steve, but we haven't quite established. Like that guy Tom that calls in, we find out he's gay, right? Through some of the calls. So that's his vice. You understand? That guy from Sarasota that gets paid in dividends, a similar thing. That's his vice. They all have vices. Their vice may be they hate Christians, or they hate white people, or they hate America. But the Democrats are all liberal because they have a vice.
Yeah, and they're clearly lacking in the study of history. If anybody reads history and takes it seriously, which you do, and I think Steve does, knows better to debate. They can't debate. In fact, when you try to debate this, Steve, the Never Trumper, he stops. He really can't present.
Yep.
That's when he recruits. So.
Yeah, exactly. Well, listen. Welcome. We got to. Well, we all have our flaws. Listen, we got to run, but, we just lost William Youngerman now. I was just about to go to William Youngerman. We have to go, but welcome to the show. I appreciate it. All right. Yeah, you should. Yeah, from Lake Worth. Lake Worth, by the way, has a beautiful beach, Steve. You ever been to Lake Worth Beach? Oh, I went there recently, and it's a really nice beach. I like it a lot. Hold on, do we got William Youngerman back? We lost the thing. Okay, we're going to check in now and with William Youngerman from the offices of William Youngerman Incorporated with the Morning Gold and Precious Metals Report. William Youngerman, how are the metals looking today?
Metals giving us a little bit of a pullback after yesterday's nice gain of $24.50. Yesterday trading in a range of $32.66 on the low to $3,354 on the high for gold. Silver or gold trading closing out the day up $24.50 at $3,342.80 the ounce. Silver was up 5 cents yesterday, closing at $33.10. Platinum was up $14 at $9.86. And palladium gained $6 at $9.36 this morning. We got a little bit of pullback, giving back those gains that we saw, but still finding support at $3,300. Currently at $33.0850 on gold, $3,308.50 the ounce. That's down $34.30. Silver up 35 cents at $33.45 the ounce. Platinum unchanged at $9.86, and palladium down $8 at $9.28. So gold, again, still working on finding a base around that $3,300. Silver gaining strong support around $33 and acting very well, actually. Looks like silver wants to go higher.
We've been talking a lot about gold, obviously, and what some of the best buys are. What are some of the best buys right now when it comes to silver?
Silver, the great buys right now are the 90% silver coin at just $1 over the spot price of silver. We've got silver eagles at very reasonable prices, and of course, all of the bars are on sale too.
Well, I got to tell you, 90% silver and the silver eagles are some of the most sought out silver products. So to say that's a good buy, you people that are silver people, you know the significance of that. Now listen, William Youngerman opens up at 10 a.m. Give him a call, 1-800-327-5010, 1-800-327-5010, or stop in at 150 East Palmetto Park Road in Boca on the first floor of the Bank of America building, just east of US 1 Federal Highway on the south side of Palmetto Park Road. You can find William Youngerman's address and phone number on his website, williamyoungerman.com. All right, William Youngerman, we'll talk tomorrow. All right, take care, take care. All right, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air. All right, once, twice. Oh yes, the lady from Lake Worth was singing your praises. I'm not surprised that you're next. How's it feel? How's it feel to be a celebrity?
Well, I don't know. Am I entitled to royalties on this now or not quite yet?
The typical Democrat with his handout, Steve. Looking for handouts.
Anyway, I wanted to go over 2 points that you made, and the woman from, what did you say, Lake Worth Beach? I forget where in Florida.
Lake Worth, yes.
Matter of hate. I don't think you can point at statements that I've made that are hate. It's reflecting on factual information different than the way you present it. And because it'll be brought up tonight at the rally, the first issue that you brought up is that Trump won by a landslide. I want her to Google, did Trump win by a landslide? Because you say it all the time. Trump says it all the time. And you belong to the Trump school, which says if you say something enough times, people will start.
No, that would be the Goebbels school. Slow down. First off, Trump, after everything you guys put him through, and those 4 years he wasn't in office, the fake arrests, the lawsuits, the mugshots, and let's not forget the Never Trumpers shot him, and he came back and won every battleground state. That's a landslide. He won every battleground state.
Landslide pertains.
I'm curious. What are you going to say when Trump gets renominated for his next term? Let me amend that a little bit. Do you agree with me that Trump is definitely going to be running in the next election?
I couldn't disagree more. I think he's got to worry about living through, about getting through the current. Because as I told Brian yesterday, if an election were to be held today, even though you don't want to believe the polls and you don't want to believe the editorial from the Wall Street Journal, believe Karl Rove talking about that he's in trouble now.
In other words, you think he's... I gotta get this straight. You're telling me that you think after all the hoopla about the tariffs and all that it's not going to happen over the period of the next year? Are you telling me?
That he's going to run again? No. Legally, you can't. No.
Damage you standing. I give you that.
Yes.
It would damage you.
Here's the thing. If an election was held today, we know by how the Republican town halls are going, not very well.
Hey, hold on a second, Steve, hold on. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
You don't have a camp.
And I've been watching some of these town halls. They're liberals in MAGA hats, okay? They have these town halls. Democrats show up in MAGA hats, and they say liberal crap. And oh, look, MAGA's turned. It's so fake. Listen, Steve, come on.
On the landslide.
Oh, he doesn't even want to mention that. He doesn't want to. And here's a.
Percent of the popular vote, not even getting 50.
Forget. Listen. Yeah, exactly. And here's another thing. Here's another thing. I opened the show with this at 6. Last summer, the Never Trumpers shot President Trump at the rally in Butler, right? I know. I know exactly. I know. But you're looking bad enough. Don't rub it in. Don't make it worse. So, I do, but I'm not going to let you divert me from what I'm going to say. Exactly. So the Never Trumpers shoot President Trump in an outdoor rally with tens of thousands of people. For the first time that I've ever seen, when there's an outdoor mass shooting event, which that would fit the definition of, because you're outdoors with thousands of people, not one person ran or left. They all stayed there. Those MAGA people stayed there. And the reason they stayed there is they were there to protect him. If someone would have run in and tried to finish him off, that crowd would have risked their lives to protect President Trump. You had tens of thousands. Excuse me. No. Everybody runs in shooting events, except that crowd in Butler. So we have MAGA people were willing to take a bullet for President Trump in July. And you want us to believe because of egg prices, people were willing to take a bullet for him in July, now have dropped him? That's not even credible, Steve. Hey, listen, I'm going to take some more calls, but put that in perspective. All right, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, good morning. It's Jim from New York. How you doing?
Hey, Jim.
Hey, James.
Hey, so, good morning, Steve. So, Fahrenheit 451, George Orwell, 1984, the movie The Running Man, with Richard Dawson, we're living it. You thought, have you read those books and saw that movie, that it was, that would never happen? We're living it. True speed, media mind control. And people like Never Trump or Idiot before me believe and buy this crap. It's amazing.
Yeah.
How does somebody, at least halfway intelligent, buy the crap that the media speaks?
Yeah. By the way, I've never heard anybody... Yeah.
Name is A Boy and His Dog.
Oh, yeah, I know that movie. I've never heard someone say The Running Man with Richard Dawson. Usually they say Arnold Schwarzenegger, but yeah, Richard Dawson was in that too. But
Richard Dawson was the best villain in that movie.
Richard Dawson was amazing in The Running Man. But I'll tell you this, though. What the point I made about the people willing to sacrifice their lives and take a bullet for him in Butler, and now, less than a year later, they've all dropped him, that's not even credible. The MAGA...
It's the easiest. The next step in this is the easiest one to call. He's going to have an event where he's going to welcome all the new people who have signed up with him, and his poll numbers are going to bounce through the roof up on top.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The exact timing, whether it's a week or 2 weeks or a month, I can't tell you that close, but I can tell you that it's going to happen, and it's going to be dramatic when it happens. It's guaranteed to happen.
And in the immortal words of Steve, the people all of a sudden flipping on President Trump, that doesn't even pass the smile test. Not even close.
No. And I saw, I can't remember which Republican senator it was. He did a town hall, and they start barking all these liberal talking points. Due process with that guy, and they're wearing MAGA hats. And I'm like, what a load of crap this is.
Not like that.
No.
On a footnote, I don't know if you heard during the 2 breaks ago, I thought I went back in time 30 years because on the traffic report, when Ron Hersey came back, he said, he referenced the wonderful Isle of Dreams. I said, geez, man, I'm going back to the 80s.
Did he say, what did he say? I missed that. What did he say about the Island of Dreams?
He said, this is your traffic report, Ron Hersey, WIOD.
He's not. Oh, my goodness. The Isle of Dreams is what people used to call WIOD. Yeah, he's kind of slipped. Yeah, I guess so. Well, whatever. I doubt Ron Hersey's a morning. Yeah, listen, Ron Hersey is one of the legends of the Miami radio market. But that was pretty funny. I missed that. I'm going to go back and listen to that. That's pretty funny. Oh, my goodness. All right, take care. I wonder how that... All right, take care. Oh, my goodness. Oh, well, see, that's all the time we have for today. Oh, okay. You got to answer the phone, though. Sometimes you don't answer the phone when I call. Okay. All right. I'll call you in a bit. All right. Well, listen, we're out of time for today. You're listening to Florida's longest running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977. Celebrating 48 years, Steve, on the radio this year. 48 years. We'll see you tomorrow. I know. See you tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. Take care, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow. All right, guys, thanks for watching. If you're new, make sure you subscribe.